Tonight, as you lie down, you do not have to try to fix your whole life. You do not have to solve every problem before you sleep. You do not have to decide who you will be tomorrow. For now, it is enough to feel your body resting on the bed, the pillow under your head, the weight of the blanket over you, the quiet of the room, even if there are small sounds in the distance. This is where our journey begins, a journey into the gentle heart of non-attachment. Not as a cold idea, not as a rule, but as a soft way of holding your life so it hurts a little less and breathes a little more. In many Buddhist teachings, non-attachment is misunderstood. Some people think it means not caring. They imagine a person who feels nothing, loves no one, walks away from everything. That is not what the wise teachers meant. Non-attachment is not a frozen heart. It is a warm heart with open hands. You still care. You still love. You still work hard. You still grieve when things are lost. But you do not crush life in your grip. You let it move. You let it breathe. You let it change. You let it go when it is time. As you listen, you do not need to remember every word. You do not need to follow every idea with sharp attention. This is not an exam. This is not a lecture in a bright classroom. This is a slow, nighttime walk through stories. Each story is a small lantern. Its only job is to light a few steps ahead of you and then fade as the next lantern appears. Some of these lanterns may match places in your own heart. Times you held on so tightly that it hurt. Times you lost something or someone and could not stop replaying it. Times you felt that if you relaxed even for a moment, everything would fall apart. If any of that feels familiar, you are in the right place. You are not alone. Imagine now a small village on the edge of the sea. The houses are low and wooden. Lanterns hang at the doors, their light moving gently with the evening breeze. The smell of salt and smoke from cooking fires drifts through the narrow streets. In one of those houses lives a potter named Sora. His hands are strong and stained with clay. His shelves are full of bowls and cups, each one shaped in silence and fired in his old kiln. From the outside, people think Sora must be content. He spends his days doing what he loves. People buy his work. He is known in the town as the potter with the steady hands. But when the door is closed and the night is quiet, Sora's heart is not easy. Each time he finishes a new bowl, he holds it up to the light and worries. Is this good enough? Will people praise it? Will they pay enough? If someone frowns at one of his cups in the market, he carries that frown with him for days. If someone walks past his stall without stopping, he feels it like a stone in his chest. His joy rises and falls with every look on every face. On days when people smile and buy many pieces, he lies in bed feeling almost safe. On days when sales are low or comments are harsh, he lies in the same bed feeling worthless. The clay in his hands has become a mirror for his ego. One evening, after a long, restless day, Sora walks to the temple on the hill. He is too tired to pray for anything specific. He only knows that this way of living is heavy. Inside the temple, a lamp burns near the main statue. An old monk is sweeping the floor. The sound of the broom on the wood is slow and steady like breathing. Sora stands there for a while, unsure how to begin. The monk looks up and smiles as if he has been expecting him. Your brow is tighter than this old floor, the monk says gently. What are you carrying? Sora sits down on a low bench. The words come out in a rush. I love my craft, he says. I love the feel of clay, the heat of the kiln, the moment when the glaze reveals itself. But my heart belongs not to the work, but to the reaction. If people praise my bowls, I feel alive. If they ignore them, I feel like nothing. I am attached to every opinion, every sale, every little sign that I matter. I am so tired of being pulled up and down. The monk listens without interrupting. When Sora falls silent, the old man picks up one of the temple's offering bowls from a nearby shelf. It is simple. a little chipped at the rim. The glaze is uneven. Do you think this bowl is proud? The monk asks. Do you think it suffers when someone does not admire it? Sora almost laughs. Of course not, he says. Why not? The monk asks. Because it is just a bowl, Sora answers. It holds rice. It holds water. That is its nature. Whether someone praises it or not, it does what it was made to do. The monk nods and sets the bowl down between them. And you, he says quietly, what were you made to do? Were you made to chase every expression on every face? Were you made to live like a leaf in the wind of other people's moods? Or were you made to shape clay with care and let the bowls go when they are finished? Sora feels something in his chest shift. He has always told himself that his pain comes from loving his work too much. But as he sits in the soft temple light, he sees that this is not quite true. He does not suffer because he loves the clay. He suffers because he clings to the story, this bowl is me, this sale is my worth, this praise proves I exist. His attachment is not to the craft, but to the result, to the idea of himself. The monk continues, his voice very calm. Non-attachment does not mean you stop caring about your work, he says. It does not mean you become lazy or cold. It means you give yourself fully to the shaping, to the fire, to the beauty of the process. Then you set the bowl on the table of the world and bow. Some people will take it, some will not. Their hands belong to them, your heart belongs to you. As you listen, you might notice places in your own life where you have done the same thing as Sora. Maybe it is not clay. Maybe it is a project at work, a song you wrote, a meal you cooked, a post you shared, a kindness you offered. You poured yourself into it. When it was done, instead of resting in the simple joy of having created something, you watched every reaction, every number, every sign that it was enough. Your piece rose and fell like a small boat in a storm of likes, comments, glances, or silence. This is human. It is not a sin. But it is exhausting. It is like tying your worth to a kite and chasing it across a windy field. Tonight you are allowed to put the string down. In the temple, the monk teaches Sora a small practice. Each time you finish a piece, he says, pause. Place both hands on the bowl and say silently, "Thank you for letting me shape you." Then imagine that you are cutting a thin thread between your heart and the object. Not cutting your care, cutting your claim. Let the bowl go into the world with your blessing, not your hunger. If praise comes, bow to it like a cloud passing in the sky. If criticism comes, bow to it the same way. Do not chase either. Return to the clay. Return to the breath in your body. Return to the quiet joy of making. Sora leaves the temple feeling a little lighter. His life does not change overnight. He still feels the sting of harsh words. He still feels warmth when someone praises his work. But slowly, with each bowl, the thread between his heart and other people's reactions grows thinner. The weight of mine loosens. The work returns to being play. As you lie here, you do not need to become free of all attachment in one night. You do not need to suddenly stop caring what people think. That too would be another harsh demand. Instead, you can begin very softly. Think of one thing today that you did or made or said which you are still clinging to in your mind. Maybe it went well. Maybe it did not. Maybe you keep replaying it. See it in your imagination as an object like Sora's bowl. Bring it into your hands. Feel its weight for a moment. Acknowledge, yes, I did my best with this, or I did what I could with what I knew. Then in your mind, place it gently on a low table in front of you and step back. It is no longer on your chest. It is no longer glued to your identity. It is just something that happened in a long string of days. You can let the world meet it however the world will. Your breath can help with this. As you inhale, feel the slight lift in your chest, the way air fills the space inside you. As you exhale, imagine that some of the clinging flows out with the breath. Not all at once, just a little. Like loosening the knot in a rope, one fiber at a time. You do not have to force it, you only have to allow that you do not need to grip so hard. The bed is holding you. The night is holding you. You are allowed to rest even if some bowls in your life were praised and some were ignored. None of that has to be solved before you sleep. In the next part of our journey, we will visit another kind of attachment, not to the reaction to your work, but to the objects themselves. The treasures, keepsakes, and possessions that slowly fill our rooms and sometimes our hearts, until we no longer know whether we own them or they own us. For now, let Sora's simple image stay with you. Hands in clay, bowl in light, thread being gently cut. You too can be a maker who loves deeply and releases gently as you drift a little further into the soft embrace of this night. From the temple on the hill where Sora learned to loosen his grip on praise and blame, our path now winds back down into the village, into the quiet streets where doors are closed for the night and lanterns sway gently outside each home. If the first knot of attachment sits in how others receive our work, the next knot lives in the things we keep, the objects that start as tools or gifts or memories and slowly become something heavier, a kind of invisible chain. You may know this feeling, a drawer you cannot bring yourself to empty. A box of old letters you are afraid to open yet cannot throw away. Clothes you never wear but feel guilty letting go of. Each item whispers a story. Each story says, without me, you will lose a part of yourself. Near the harbor lives an old sailor named Kien. His house is small and low, with nets hanging from hooks on the wall and a faded map tacked above the table. On the back wall, in a place of honor, hangs a single weathered rope. It is cut clean at one end, frayed at the other. To anyone else it would look like scrap. To Keen, it is sacred. Years ago, this rope was part of the line that held his father's fishing boat in a violent storm. The night the wind rose, the waves grew so high they swallowed the moon. Kien and his father fought the sea together. At the worst moment, the rope snapped and the boat nearly went under. Somehow they made it back. The next day they found the broken length floating near the rocks. Kien's father kept it as a reminder of both danger and survival. When his father died, the rope passed to Kien. At first, the rope was a simple keepsake. Kien would touch it on his way out, a quiet greeting to the memory of the man who had taught him everything about the water. But as years went by, the meaning changed. He began to believe that as long as the rope hung there, his father was still close. If someone reached for it carelessly, he felt a flash of anger. He refused to let anyone clean that part of the wall. Dust gathered on the fibers like a second skin. One day, a young niece visiting from the city laughed and said, "Uncle, why do you keep that old thing? It smells like the harbor floor." The words were light, but they pierced Keen like a spear. That night, as he lay in bed, he felt not just hurt, but afraid. He imagined the rope being thrown away by mistake. The fear tightened around his heart until he could barely breathe. It was as if the rope itself was wrapped around him. A few days later, a storm warning came from the port. Boats were advised to stay in. The sky grew heavy, the glass in the windows rattled. Kien sat inside, listening to the wind moan in the eaves, his eyes always drawn back to the piece of rope on the wall. With a sudden, unexpected impulse, he took it down and held it in his hands. It was stiff, rough, and smelled of salt even after all these years. He closed his eyes and let memory rise, his father's hands on the tiller, his father's shout cutting through the roar of the storm, his father's laughter later over hot soup when they were safe. As he breathed with the rope in his lap, he realized something simple and painful. None of those moments were in the rope. They were in him, in muscles that remembered how to tie a knot, in eyes that could read the weather, in the stubbornness that had kept him going through hard seasons. The rope had become a symbol, and then more than a symbol, it had become a prison. The next morning, when the storm had passed and the sky was clean, Keen carried the rope down to the pier. An old nun from the hillside convent was there, feeding crumbs to the gulls. She watched him as he stood at the edge, holding the rope out over the water. "That piece looks tired," she said softly. "Has it been working very hard for you?" Keen gave a weak laugh. "It has been holding my father hostage," he said. The words surprised him with their sharp truth. The nun nodded as if she understood. "Sometimes," she said, "we ask objects to do what only the heart can do. We ask them to keep people from dying, or memories from fading, or time from moving. They cannot. They grow heavy trying." Keen stood there for a long moment, feeling the wind on his face, feeling the old fibers under his fingers. Then, with a breath that felt like a small surrender, he loosened his grip. The rope slipped from his hands and fell into the sea with hardly a splash. For an instant, panic rushed into his chest. What have I done? What if I forget him now? Then the nun's hand rested lightly on his shoulder. "Look," she said. The water carried the rope away, the waves rocking it gently. It turned once, then twice, and was gone. Keen closed his eyes and waited for the emptiness to swallow him. Instead, something else happened. In the space where fear had been, warmth rose. Images of his father came, not as painful stabs, but as clear, bright pictures. A joke told on a calm day, the way his father's hands had smelled of fish and soap, the way his father had once placed those same rough hands on Kien's head and said, "One day this will all be yours, but you must learn when to hold and when to release. As you lie here, perhaps there is some rope on your own wall. It might not be a rope. It might be a box of old letters, a phone full of pictures, a shelf of clothes that no longer fit your body or your life. A gift from someone who is gone. You may feel that if you let it go, you will lose the person, lose the past, lose a part of yourself. Notice how that belief feels in your body. Does your chest tighten when you imagine the drawer empty? Do your shoulders tense? This is not a command to throw anything away tonight. It is only an invitation to see clearly. The love you feel is not inside the object. The lessons you learned are not sewn into the fabric. They live in your heart, your bones, your way of moving through the world. Objects can remind you, but they cannot be the person, the time, or the feeling you miss. In another part of the same town, a younger woman named May has turned her small house into a storeroom of memories. Her grandmother was a weaver, famous in the region for her fine cloth. When her grandmother died, the entire workshop came to May. Looms, threads, patterns, finished bolts of cloth, half-woven pieces still on the frame. At first, May felt honored. She told herself she was protecting a legacy. Years passed. She did not weave. She worked a different job in the city and came home only to sleep among the stacks. Every surface was covered. Her bed was surrounded by boxes. Sometimes she would trip on a bundle in the dark and feel anger rise, not at the clutter, but at the idea of anyone touching it. When friends asked why she kept it all, she would say, "I cannot let it go. This is my grandmother." One evening, a leak in the roof sent rainwater over one of the looms. When May rushed in with a bucket, she saw that some of the threads had rotted. A bolt of cloth had molded where it had been wrapped too tightly for too long. She sank down on the wet floor and cried, not just for the damage, but for the realization that in trying to keep everything, she had allowed some of it to quietly die. Later, a neighbor who had known her grandmother came by. He stepped carefully between the boxes, whistling softly. "She would not have liked this," he said. "Your grandmother loved to see her cloth worn, used, turned into something living. She did not weave to fill rooms. She wove to touch lives." His words stung, but like salt on a wound that needs cleaning. The next week, May did something radical. She opened the doors and invited students from the local craft school to come. Some she allowed to use the looms under her guidance. Others, she gifted bundles of thread and pieces of cloth. Slowly, the walls began to show. Light fell on corners that had been hidden for years. Each time a piece left the house, May felt both fear and relief. It was as if she had been holding her breath for a decade and was finally exhaling. At night, the house was quieter. Her grandmother's presence did not feel smaller. If anything, it felt larger, spread out through the town, carried on the backs and shoulders of people wearing the fabric, woven into new designs by young hands. As you rest, imagine walking through your own inner house. See the rooms where you store things. Some may be real rooms. Some may be the corners of your mind where you keep old stories. Notice if any space feels so full that there is no air left. You do not have to decide anything tonight. You can simply acknowledge, here is a place where I have been clinging. Place a gentle hand there, in your imagination. Offer it a little more air. Perhaps you can picture opening a window, letting in light, allowing the possibility that someday when you are ready, some of these objects, or the stories attached to them, can move out into the world or back into the earth. Your body can reflect this loosening. As you breathe in, feel the places where you are still gripping, maybe in your hands, your jaw, your stomach. As you breathe out, imagine opening your fingers slightly around one object, even if only in thought. You do not drop it. You simply hold it with less force. This, too, is a form of non-attachment, not throwing everything away, but releasing the belief that you are nothing without these things. You are more than what you own. You always have been. In the next part of our journey, we will turn from the things we own to the selves we think we own. The titles, roles, and masks we wear so long that we forget they can be taken off. For now, let Kian's rope and May's crowded house rest in your mind like gentle reminders. The past is real. Love is real. But they do not need a wall full of objects to exist. Your memories will not vanish if you sleep. Your worth will not leak away if you let yourself relax. The bed is still here. The night is still wide. You are allowed to loosen your grip and sink a little deeper into peace. From the small houses crowded with ropes and cloth and memories, where Kian and May learned to loosen their hold on things, our path now turns towards something even closer to the bone, not what we own but who we think we are. If objects can become heavy, identities can become armor. At first they protect us, they give us shape. Over time, if we cling too tightly, they trap us. As you lie here, you may notice how many names and roles you carried through the day. Worker, parent, child, partner, friend, leader, helper, strong one, quiet one, the clever one, the responsible one. These labels are not wrong. They are useful at times, but when we grab them too tightly, when we believe we are only that one thing, suffering quietly grows. In a city of stone streets and paper screens lived a woman named Aiko. By day she worked as a scholar at a small academy. Her specialty was ancient poetry. Her shelves at home were lined with scrolls and books. People came from other towns to hear her speak. In the lecture hall, students watched her with bright, expectant eyes. Colleagues introduced her as our most brilliant mind. For years, Aiko had fed on those words. They were like sweet tea after a long walk. Brilliant, gifted, the expert. She stayed up late studying not only because she loved the poems, but because she was terrified of being asked a question she could not answer. Her identity, the one who knows, wrapped around her like a tight coat. It kept her warm. It also made it hard to breathe. One spring, a new teacher arrived at the academy. His name was Kenji. He was younger than Aiko, with an easy smile and a habit of saying, I don't know without shame. His field overlapped with hers, but he had studied in a different region and knew poets she had barely heard of. In their first shared seminar, a student asked about a rare verse Aiko had never seen. Before she could admit this, Kenji stepped in, eyes kind. I'm not sure either, he said. Let's find out together. He walked to the shelf, pulled down a reference, and began leafing through it with the class watching. Aiko felt a flush rise to her cheeks. She forced a small laugh and added a comment she hoped sounded wise. But inside, something was burning. That night, lying awake in her narrow bed, her thoughts were sharp and fast. How can he be so relaxed about not knowing? What will they think of me if there is something I have not read? If I say I don't know, will the image I have worked so hard to build crack and fall? The next day, she overcompensated. She spoke more than usual. She interrupted Kenji to correct small details. She mentioned obscure authors to re-establish her status. After class, she felt hollow. The students had learned, but she had not. She had been busy defending her mask. Days turned into weeks. Each time Kenji openly admitted not knowing, Aiko's discomfort grew. One evening, unable to bear the tightness in her chest, she walked to a small tea house near the river where an old Zen practitioner named Ryo sometimes sat. Ryo had once been a teacher herself. Now she spent her days listening more than speaking. Aiko sat down across from her, fingers wrapped around a warm cup. Everyone thinks I am wise, Aiko said in a rush. They call me brilliant. They come to me for answers. I have spent years trying to live up to that image. But now that there is someone who knows things I don't, I feel like a fraud. I am afraid to admit ignorance. I am afraid of losing who I am. Ryo's eyes were soft. She poured more tea, letting the steam rise between them. It sounds, she said, as if you have mistaken your robe for your skin. Aiko blinked. What do you mean? When monks join a monastery, Ryo explained, they receive a robe. It shows their role. People bow to it. They respect it. But if a monk starts to believe the robe is who they are, they become stiff and proud. Underneath, they are still a breathing, changing person, full of questions and mistakes. The robe is useful. It is not the whole truth. She looked at Aiko kindly. Your reputation is a robe. The idea that you are the one who knows is a robe. You have worn it so long you have forgotten your own skin underneath. Aiko stared into her cup. The tea's surface trembled slightly with her breath. But if I take off the robe, she whispered, who am I? Ryo smiled. You are someone who loves words. Someone whose eyes still light up when she finds a verse that surprises her. Someone who once read not to impress a room, but because a line of poetry made her feel less alone. She paused. Non-attachment to identity does not mean you throw away your knowledge. It means you stop using it as a shield against being human. Aiko sat with this. It felt both frightening and strangely relieving. She thought of Kenji saying, let's find out. She realized that his lack of shame came from not tying his worth to being the most informed person in the room. He was not less of a teacher for saying, I don't know. If anything, the students trusted him more. He was not playing a character. He was present as himself. How do I put down this robe? Aiko asked quietly. I have worn it for so long. Ryo sipped her tea. Start with one small act of honesty, she said. Tomorrow, when a student asks something you do not know, let your mouth form the words, I don't know yet. Let's discover it together. Notice what happens in your body, the fear, the heat, the stories. Breathe through them. You will not die. The image may crack a little. In the space where it breaks, your real self can breathe. The next day, the opportunity came almost too quickly. A student asked about a historical detail outside Aiko's field. The familiar panic rose. The robe of "I must know" tightened around her throat. She remembered Rio's words. Her heart pounded. She felt as if she stood on a cliff. Then softly she said, "That is a good question. I don't know the answer yet. Let's find out." There was a small silence. Then the student smiled with relief, as if given permission to not know everything either. The moment was simple. No one gasped. The world did not end. But inside Aiko, a wall shifted. That night her bed felt a little softer. The mask had loosened. As you lie here, you might notice your own robes, the identities you hold tightly because you fear what will happen if you set them down. Even for a breath, the strong one who never cries, the useful one who never rests, the funny one who hides pain behind jokes, the competent one who never asks for help. These masks have served you. They kept you safe in hard times. But now some of them may be too tight. They may pinch at the edges. They may not let your lungs fill fully. You do not have to tear them off tonight. You can start like Aiko, with one small act of truth. Maybe tomorrow you admit to someone you trust, "I am tired," or "I was hurt by that," or "I don't know how to do this." Maybe the only person you admit it to is yourself, in the quiet of morning. Even that begins to loosen the knot. In another part of the country, a man named Haruto wrestled with a different robe. His was not made of books and praise. It was made of battle and strength. For years he had served as a soldier. He was trained to run toward danger, to keep his face hard, to control his fear. People called him brave. When peace came and his service ended, the armor came off his body but not from his mind. He moved to a quiet town, took a job in a carpentry shop, and found himself lost. When people asked what he did, he stumbled. "I used to be," he would start, then trail off. He felt like a ghost. His sense of self was anchored to warrior. Without that word, he did not know who he was. One evening, he sat with an elderly carpenter named Daichi, watching shavings curl from a plane. "These hands used to hold a sword," Haruto said, staring at his palms. "Now they hold a chisel. It feels like my life has shrunk." Daichi chuckled softly. "When I was young," he said, "I thought I was my job too. I am a carpenter. Then my back gave out and I could not work for a year. I was forced to ask, who am I if I am not useful in this one way? It was painful, but it also freed me." He placed a small piece of wood in Haruto's hands. "This grain," he said, "runs through the whole board. It is not just at the edge where we cut. Your courage is like that grain. It did not start with the uniform. It will not end without it. You can be brave holding a sword. You can be brave holding a crying child. You can be brave building a table. You can be brave learning how to rest." Haruto felt his throat tighten. All this time he had believed his worth lived in one narrow frame, one kind of story. He saw for the first time that the qualities he valued, steadiness, discipline, willingness to protect, could move into new forms. Warrior was a robe. The grain underneath was something deeper. As you breathe now, feel the weight of your own body on the bed. Notice all the roles that fell away the moment you lay down. In this position, you are not your title. You are not your job. You are not the version of yourself others project onto you. You are simply a living being, tired, breathing, held by the mattress. Non-attachment to identity does not mean you stop doing what you do. It means you remember there is more to you than any one description. Someone could change your job title tomorrow and you would still be here breathing. Someone could misjudge you and you would still have this quiet, steady heart. Let that be a comfort. Let it soften the pressure to perform even for a few minutes before sleep. In the next part of our journey, we will turn from the masks we wear for ourselves to the hands we wrap around others. The people we love so much that our care becomes a grip. Our devotion becomes a cage. For now, imagine your own robe of identity hanging on a hook by the bed. You can put it back on in the morning. Tonight you are allowed to slip out of it and rest in the softness of who you are underneath all your names as you drift a little deeper into the safety of this night. From the hook by the bed where we left your robe of identity hanging for the night, our path now turns toward the quieter, more tender place in the heart where other people live. Not as flesh and blood in front of you, but as images and stories and feelings you carry inside. The people you care about the most can be the ones you grip the hardest. A child, a partner, a close friend, a parent. At first, the grip comes from love. You want them safe. You want them close. You want to protect them from pain. Over time, without meaning to, love can turn into something tighter. A kind of ownership. A fear of losing that makes you squeeze so hard the other person cannot move and you cannot rest. You may know this tension in your own body. The way your chest tightens when someone you love talks about leaving, changing, growing. The way your stomach twists when a message is not answered right away. The way your mind races with what if when a child, partner, or friend is out of reach. Non-attachment in relationships does not mean not loving. It does not mean pulling away, going cold, pretending you do not care. It means loving in a way that lets the other person be themselves, lets them grow, lets them go where their life calls without turning their choices into a judgment on your worth. Loving with open hands instead of a closed fist. In a town by the river lived a woman named Nara. Her son, Kyo, had been the center of her world since he was born. His father had died young and Nara had poured all her energy into raising this one boy. She worked 2 jobs, stayed up late sewing clothes for him, saved every small coin for his schooling. As he grew, she watched his every step. When he was a child, this vigilance was useful. She held his hand when they crossed the street. She checked his homework. She sat by his bed when he was sick. Her identity slowly wrapped itself around one thought. I am his mother. Without that role, she did not know who she was. When Kyo became a young man, he received an offer to study far away in the capital. It was an opportunity he had dreamed of for years. He came home one evening, eyes bright, letter in his hand. Nara smiled and hugged him, but inside panic rose like a fast tide. That night, while he slept, she lay awake staring at the ceiling. Thoughts spun. If he leaves, who will I be? What if he never comes back? What if he makes new friends, finds a new life, and forgets me? When she tried to imagine the house without him, it felt hollow and cold. Without noticing, her fear began to speak through her love. In the days that followed, she asked small, heavy questions. Are you sure you want to go so far? The city is dangerous. People there may not understand you. Life here may be simple, but it is safe. Each question was like a thread tying him to her. Kyo hesitated. He loved his mother. He did not want to hurt her. He also felt a strong pull toward his studies. The tension pulled at his heart in 2 directions. The air between them grew thick. One afternoon, Nara's older sister Hana came to visit. She saw the tightness in the house, like a string pulled across a doorway. While Kyo was out, Hana sat with Nara at the kitchen table. The steam from their tea rose between them. You are afraid, Hana said gently. Nara's eyes filled with tears. He is my whole life, she whispered. If he goes, what will be left of me? Hana reached across and took her hand. He is your son, she answered. He is not your life. Your life is bigger than one role, bigger than one house, bigger than even this love. Nara shook her head. You do not understand. I gave up so much for him, I sacrificed my own dreams. If he leaves, it feels like losing the only thing that made it all worth it. Hana's gaze grew very soft, but her words were clear. Listen to what you are saying, she murmured. You are asking him to be responsible not only for his own future, but for the meaning of your past. That is a weight no child can carry without breaking. The truth of this landed heavily. Nara felt both defensive and exposed. So I should just let him go and pretend it does not hurt, she asked. Should I be detached, like I do not care? Hana shook her head. No, she said. Detachment is not pretending not to feel. It is feeling fully and still not putting a chain around the one you love. You can cry when he leaves. You can miss him. You can keep his room as it is for a while if that comforts you. But you must not use your sadness to keep him small. That is attachment. That is fear disguised as love. That night, Nara sat alone in Kyo's room while he was out saying goodbye to friends. She looked at the simple bed, the books on his shelf, the shoes by the door. Memories rose like gentle waves, his first steps, his first day at school, his teenage arguments, the times they had laughed until they could not breathe. She let herself feel it all. Her heart ached. Tears came. She did not push them away. She put a hand over her chest and whispered, Yes, this hurts because I love him. Then another whisper followed, quieter. And I am more than this pain. When Kyo came home, she met him at the door. Her eyes were still red, but her voice was steady. You must go, she said, not because I do not want you here, but because your life is calling. My job is not to keep you. My job is to bless you as you step away. Kyo's shoulders sagged with relief. They cried together. They packed his bags. In the morning, as he walked away down the road, Nara's chest felt both torn and strangely open. The house was quiet. The silence was sharp at first, but slowly it made room. Room for her to remember other parts of herself that had been sleeping. She began to join a small group at the temple, to learn calligraphy, to sit in the garden and simply breathe without watching a clock or a door. Her identity shifted not away from being a mother, but toward being a whole person who is also a mother. As you lie here, maybe there is someone your heart is wrapped around like this, a child you worry about constantly, a partner you fear losing, a friend you hold on to tighter when they change or grow or love someone new. Notice how that grip feels in your body. Not to judge it, but to see it. Does your breath become shallow when you imagine them far from you? Does your jaw clench when you think of them making choices you cannot control? This is natural. The mind believes that if it stays close enough, tight enough, loud enough, it can keep the other person safe or keep itself from being abandoned. But there is another way. In the same town where Nara lived, there were two friends, Jiro and Ren. They had grown up side by side, shared secrets, mischief, and dreams. For years, Jiro thought of Ren almost as an extension of himself. They worked together, ate together, spent evenings by the river talking about everything and nothing. Jiro believed this would last forever. Then one day, Ren fell in love. He began to spend more evenings with his new partner, Aki. His messages to Jiro grew shorter, less frequent. Plans were changed, postponed, sometimes forgotten. A hot, unfamiliar feeling rose in Jiro's chest. Jealousy, not of romance, but of time. He felt pushed aside, replaced. One evening, after Ren canceled yet another plan, Jiro stormed to his friend's house. When Ren opened the door, Jiro's words poured out sharp and fast. You have forgotten me, he accused. We used to be brothers. Now you only care about her. I guess I never really mattered. Ren stood there, stunned. That is not true, he said softly. I still care about you. My life is just changing. Exactly, Jiro snapped. changing away from me. The argument left both of them raw. Days passed without contact. Jiro lay awake at night, replaying every moment, every perceived slight. He told himself stories. I am being abandoned. I am not important. His hurt wrapped itself around his heart like a vine. One afternoon he sat with an older neighbor, Mrs. Sato, who had watched the boys grow up. She listened to his anger and pain. When he finally fell silent, she asked one question. When your friend finds happiness, why does your heart feel attacked? Jiro frowned. Because I am losing him, he said. Mrs. Sato shook her head. You are losing the shape of how things were, she said. You are not losing the love itself. That can grow if you let it. But you are gripping his time, his presence, as if they belong to you. That is not friendship, that is possession. The word stung. Possession. He had always thought of himself as loyal, devoted. He realized slowly that he had built a quiet belief. A true friend chooses me first, always. Anything less felt like betrayal. In truth, life was simply expanding. Ren now held love for two people in two different ways. Jiro's pain came not from that reality, but from his refusal to let the shape of their bond change. That evening, Jiro walked by the river alone. He watched the current slide past rocks and pillars. The water did not cling. It flowed around obstacles, found new paths, kept moving. He remembered all the times he had told Ren, I just want you to be happy. Now life was taking him at his word, and his ego was protesting. With a sigh that was half laugh, half sob, he whispered, Maybe I do not own you after all. Days later, he met Ren at their usual place. The first words were awkward. There were apologies on both sides. Jiro spoke more honestly than before. I was trying to hold you in the old shape, he admitted. I was angry not because you did not care, but because I was not the center anymore. That was selfish, I am sorry. Ren's eyes were wet. I did pull away too fast, he said. I could have done better, but your friendship still matters to me. I want you in my life, just not as my only anchor. The air between them softened. Their bond changed, yes. Fewer nights by the river. More planning around other lives. But it did not die. It grew into something more spacious. They became not two men clinging to each other in fear of being alone, but two people walking side by side when their paths crossed, happy for each other's joys, present for each other's pain, without tying their worth to being number one. As you breathe now, imagine the people you love most as birds resting on an open hand. You can feel their weight, their warmth. You can enjoy their presence. You can protect them from obvious harm, but you cannot tape their wings to your fingers and call that love. They must be free to fly, to return or not according to their own nature. Your job is to care, not to control. Your worth does not shrink when they are far. Your heart does not become empty when they change. It may ache, it may adjust, but it is still yours. In the next part of our journey, we will turn from the people we hold to the ideas we clutch just as fiercely, the opinions, beliefs, and need to be right that can harden the heart as surely as any chain. For now, let Nara at the gate waving to her son and Jiro by the river loosening his grip on his friend. Rest in your mind. Feel your own hands soften a little, even if only in imagination. The night will not take your loved ones away. It will simply hold you both, each in your own place, as you let your breathing deepen and your grip on everything loosen, one gentle exhale at a time. From the open hands where we let the people we love breathe and move in their own way. Our path now turns towards something less visible, but just as sharp. Not a person you can hold, not an object you can touch. An idea, a belief, a view of the world that you call mine. We rarely think of opinions as attachments. Yet they can cling to us and we to them as fiercely as we cling to any rope or relationship. As you lie here, you may feel how certain thoughts in you feel solid and unquestionable. I am right about this. They are wrong. This is how things must be. There is comfort in that certainty. It can feel like a strong wall around the heart. It keeps confusion out. It gives you a clear sense of where you stand. But when clung to too tightly, that wall also keeps out growth, tenderness, and sometimes even the people you care about. Imagine a small village crossroads where four paths meet. At one corner stands a tea shop, at another a market stall, at the third a small shrine, and at the fourth a low house with a stone wall around it. In that house lives a man named Daigo. He is known in the village as someone with strong opinions. He prides himself on clear thinking and good judgment. If you ask him about politics, he has a sharp answer. If you ask about how children should be raised, he has firm advice. If you ask about the right way to do almost anything, he has a rule ready. For many years, people have come to him for guidance. He likes this. It makes him feel solid. One year, a new family moves into town and opens a small bakery by the crossroads. They bring different customs from another region. Their bread is made with spices the village is not used to. Their way of greeting is a little unusual. At first, Daigo is curious. He buys a loaf, tries it, and decides he does not like it. "This is not real bread," he says to himself. "Our way is better. That would be fine if it stayed as a simple taste." But his mind, attached to being right, turns a preference into a judgment. Soon he tells his friends, "Their food is wrong. They are changing our town. It is disrespectful." His words spread. Some people hesitate to try the new bakery, not wanting to cross him. The family notices the coolness and feels unwelcome. One evening, as Daigo sits outside his house, an old woman named Misa stops by. She has watched the pattern in this village for a long time. She sits down beside him on the low wall. "You have been busy guarding the crossroads," she says. Daigo raises an eyebrow. "Someone must protect our ways," he replies. "If we let every new idea in, who will we become?" Misa smiles gently. "Do you remember," she asks, "when the market first started selling rice from the northern fields? You said it was wrong, that only local rice was acceptable. Now you eat it every week without thinking." Daigo frowns, then laughs despite himself. She continues, "Having preferences is natural," she says, "but you wear your opinions like armor. Every time something new appears, you feel you must fight it. It exhausts you. It closes the door on people who might bring gifts you cannot yet see." Daigo bristles. "So we should just accept anything," he argues. "Let our traditions vanish." Misa shakes her head. "No," she says. "Non-attachment to views does not mean having no values. It means holding your beliefs like a walking stick, not like a sword. You lean on them, but you do not attack with them. You are willing to set the stick down when the ground changes." Her words sit between them like a small stone. Daigo feels a quiet resistance. Being the one who is right has been his role for so long. Without that, who is he? Yet he also feels a deep tiredness. The constant need to evaluate, to defend, to judge has worn grooves in his mind. He remembers arguments that have cost him friendships. He remembers the tight, hot feeling in his chest each time someone disagreed. Later that week, he passes the bakery again. Through the window, he sees the new family laughing together as they knead dough. He sees a little girl helping, her hands covered in flour. A small sign in the window reads, "Free bread for those in need." He had not noticed that before. He feels a flicker of shame. His judgment had been loud. His curiosity had been quiet. Inside, the baker's wife sees him looking and hesitates, then opens the door. "Would you like to try a different loaf?" she asks, holding out a small piece. This one is milder. He almost refuses out of habit. Then Misa's words rise in his mind. A walking stick, not a sword. He takes the piece. He eats it. It is not the bread he grew up with. It is not better or worse. It is simply different. For the first time, he feels not threatened, but slightly amused by his own earlier certainty. Later, he does not become the bakery's biggest fan. He still prefers the old-style bread next door, but something in him has softened. He no longer spreads harsh words. He nods to the family in the morning. The village in turn becomes a little more spacious. As you rest here, you might sense where you have worn the heavy crown of being right. Conversations that always end with you repeating the same argument. Moments when someone else's joy or choice feels like a personal attack because it does not match your view. Times when the idea of saying maybe I was wrong or I need to think about that feels almost unbearable. Notice the strain in that, the way your jaw tightens when you defend a belief, the way your heart races when someone challenges your opinion. Again, this is human. We are wired to cling to familiar maps, but the map is not the road. There is always more to see. In another town on a different hillside, a younger man named Yori struggles with a similar knot. He is a calligrapher, trained in strict traditional forms. For years, he has copied the same characters with perfect precision, exactly as his teachers showed him. He believes fiercely that there is one correct way to write. In his studio hangs a sign, "No modern tricks, only true brushwork." The words make him proud. One day, a younger artist named Lena rents a small space next door. She too uses ink and brush, but her style is playful. She stretches characters, blends strokes, adds color. Her work begins to attract attention. People gather around her window, intrigued. Yori feels something twist in his stomach each time he sees this. She is disrespecting the tradition, he mutters. What she does is not real calligraphy. His attachment to the right way becomes a constant background growl. He spends more time criticizing her in his mind than he does touching his own paper. One evening, their teacher, an elderly master, visits the studios. He looks over Yori's work first. "Your control is excellent," he says, "but your lines are a little stiff." Yori frowns. Then the master looks at Lena's wall. "Your lines are alive," he says, "but sometimes they forget their root." Yori expects a scolding. Instead, the master laughs softly. "Do you think our oldest styles were born old?" he asks. "Do you think the first people to write these characters were not seen as rebels by someone before them? Tradition is not a stone, it is a river. If you freeze it, it dies." He turns to Yori. "Attachment to forms can become arrogance," he says. "You begin to confuse what I was taught with what is absolutely true. Your view shrinks. Your heart hardens. Non-attachment to views means you can cherish the old forms and still be curious about the new. You stop using your knowledge as a wall and start using it as a bridge." Yori listens, heat in his face. It hurts to have his righteousness questioned. Yet his teacher's words land in a part of him that is tired of constant silent anger. That night after the master has gone, Yori stands outside Lena's door. He watches her work for a moment, then taps softly. She looks up, wary. They have barely spoken. He clears his throat. "Your lines," he says, "are interesting." She smiles, half amused. "That sounds like an insult," she replies. He blushes. "I mean," he says, "I have spent so long guarding what I thought was the only right way that I forgot there might be others. Would you show me how you play with the strokes?" Her eyes soften. "Only if you show me how you ground yours," she says. They step into each other's studios. They exchange brushes. They laugh at their clumsy attempts. Slowly, a friendship forms. Their styles remain different. But Yori's heart has grown. His attachment to one rigid view has loosened enough to let someone else in. As you lie here, notice if there is any belief you have been gripping like a sword, a political stance, a spiritual label, an idea about what good people or real success must look like. Imagine holding that belief in your hand. Feel its shape. Acknowledge the comfort it has given you. Then for a breath or two, imagine loosening your fingers. Not dropping it. Simply allowing the possibility that it is one view among many, that you might learn, refine, or even change it without losing yourself. Your breath can help. Inhale, feeling the solidity of your body, the fact that you exist beyond any one thought. Exhale, feeling a little space open around the belief, a bit more air, a bit less pressure. In the next part of our journey, we will turn to a different kind of clinging, one that often hides under all the others. The attachment to control itself. The belief that if we plan enough, think enough, worry enough, we can keep pain away. For now, let Daigo at the crossroads and Yori in his ink-scented studio rest in your mind. See how heavy the crown of being right can be, and how light the head feels when it is set down, even for a little while, as you sink deeper into the soft, forgiving darkness of this night. From the crossroads where Daigo loosened his grip on being right, and from the ink-scented studio where Yori let his views become a bridge instead of a wall, our path now turns toward a quieter but very stubborn kind of attachment. Not to things, not to people, not even to opinions. This time, we look at our attachment to control itself. The belief that if we think enough, plan enough, worry enough, we can keep pain away. As you lie here, maybe you can feel traces of that in yourself. The mind that will not stop rehearsing tomorrow. The endless what-if questions that circle in the dark. What if this goes wrong? What if that happens? What if I forget something? The body is tired. The day is over. Yet the mind acts as if tonight is the last chance to prepare for all possible futures. It is exhausting. It makes sleep feel far away. In a town cradled between two hills lived a man named Toma. People admired him as a careful planner. At work, he was the one who always had a backup plan. At home, his cupboards were neatly organized, his savings carefully managed. On the outside, his life looked stable. Inside, his thoughts ran like wild horses. Even as he sat at dinner, part of him was already in next week, next month, next year. He woke often in the night, heart racing, mind buzzing with scenarios. Most of them never happened. One autumn, the company where Toma worked announced that there would be changes. New management, new strategies, possible restructuring. The details were vague. That vagueness was like fuel. Toma's planning mind, already busy on normal days, exploded into constant motion. Lying in bed at night, he imagined every possible outcome. What if I lose my job? What if I keep it but hate it? What if I fail in the new role? What if I cannot support my family? What if? What if? What if? Each time a what if came, his chest tightened. His breath became shallow. He would turn over, look at the clock, and think, I must figure this out now. The more he tried to think his way to safety, the farther sleep moved away. One night, after a week of poor rest, he walked outside into the cool air, hoping it would calm him. The streets were mostly empty. Only the small temple at the edge of town still showed light. Drawn by some old memory of childhood, he climbed the stone steps and stepped inside. A monk sat by a low table mending a robe. The room smelled of incense and old wood. The sight slowed Toma's breath just a little. The monk looked up. Your eyes are not sleeping, he said gently, even though your body wants to. Toma laughed weakly. How can I sleep, he answered, when I do not know what will happen? The company may change everything. I might lose my job. I might be forced into a role I cannot do. I keep thinking of all the possibilities. I am trying to prepare, but the more I think, the less prepared I feel. The monk listened, then set his needle down. "Let me tell you about a farmer and his horse," he said. Toma frowned. "What does that have to do with my job?" he asked. "Just listen," the monk replied, smiling. He began. There was once a farmer who owned a single horse. One day the horse ran away. The neighbors said, how terrible." The farmer replied, maybe." A week later the horse returned, bringing with it 3 wild horses. The neighbors said, "How wonderful." The farmer replied, "Maybe." Later the farmer's son tried to ride one of the wild horses. He fell and broke his leg. The neighbors said, "How terrible." The farmer replied, "Maybe." Soon after, soldiers came to the village to take all the young men to war. They left the farmer's son because of his broken leg. The neighbors cried, "How fortunate." The farmer replied, "Maybe." The monk paused. You see, the mind is quick to label, to predict, to build whole stories about what has not happened. But the truth keeps unfolding in ways we cannot foresee. Toma sighed. "So I should just stop planning?" he asked. "Never think ahead, just drift?" The monk shook his head. "No. Planning has its place. You can polish your tools, save what you can, learn new skills. But when the day is done, you must also let the mind rest. Non-attachment to control means doing your part, then releasing the illusion that worry can do more than that. Worry is like painting pictures on the air. It feels like work, but nothing is built." The words sank into Toma's tired mind. He knew, if he was honest, that his late-night spirals had not led to any useful plan. They were loops. Each what-if led back to another what-if. There was no solid ground there, only motion. "How do I stop?" he asked. "The thoughts come on their own." The monk nodded. "You cannot stop a bird from flying over your head," he said, "but you can stop it from building a nest in your hair. When a what-if lands, notice it, name it softly. Planning mind. Then return to something real, the feeling of your breath, the weight of your body, the simple fact that right now in this moment your only job is to lie down." That night, back in his own bed, Toma tried. The what-ifs came as usual. What if I am let go? What if I am kept but miserable? He felt his chest tighten, his pulse quicken. He remembered the monk's voice. Planning, mind. He whispered the words in his thoughts. Then he shifted his attention from the swirling images of future scenes to the present, the weight of his head on the pillow, the rise and fall of his chest, the feeling of the sheet against his legs. For a few seconds the what-ifs faded. Then they returned, louder. What if I do not handle it well? Planning mind, he named again. Back to the breath, back to the bed. Back to the room that existed right now, not the imaginary rooms of tomorrow. He did not become instantly calm, but slowly the gap between the storms lengthened, like waves that had crashed hard against rocks for years and were now losing some of their force. As you lie here, you might notice the same pattern. Thoughts about tomorrow, next week, next year. The mind believes that if it keeps turning the puzzle, the pieces will finally click. Yet most of these late-night puzzles have no answer in this moment. They depend on other people's choices, on events not yet formed, on details you cannot know from this bed. Notice how the body reacts when you try to hold every variable in your hands. The shoulders lift, the jaw hardens, the stomach tightens. Then feel what happens when, even for a breath or two, you let the hands unclench. In another village by the sea, a woman named Lian carried a different form of control. Hers was not about plans for work, it was about safety. After a bad accident years earlier, she lived with a constant low hum of fear. She checked locks 3 times before bed. She reread messages to make sure she had not upset anyone. She imagined disasters and rehearsed what she would do. It gave her a thin sense of safety. It also stole her sleep. One day, an old friend invited her to a small meditation group. The guide spoke not of blocking fear, but of making room for it. The more you try to control every outcome, he said, the more the fear grows in the shadows. It feeds on your attempts to push it away. What if instead you sat with it like you sit with a crying child? Not to fix everything, just to say, I see you. I am here. That night, when Leon's fear rose as she lay in the dark, she tried something new. Instead of running through 20 scenarios of what might go wrong, she placed a hand on her chest. Yes, she whispered inside. You are afraid. It makes sense. The accident was real. Pain is real. But right now, in this bed, in this moment, we are safe enough. Her breath trembled. Tears came. The urge to check the doors again surged, then slowly faded. For the first time in a long while, she slept for a longer stretch. Not because all danger was gone from the world, but because she had loosened her grip on the idea that she could prevent it by thinking harder. As you breathe now, feel the urge to control soften just a little. On your next inhale, notice the part of you that wants to plan and protect and prepare. It has good intentions. It wants you safe. On your exhale, imagine placing a gentle hand on that part. You are not pushing it away. You are telling it, thank you. You have worked hard today. Tonight you can rest. Tomorrow we will plan again. But now, we will simply breathe. Your body understands this language. With each slow breath, signals of safety move through your system. They tell your muscles, you do not have to be ready to run. They tell your heart, you can beat more slowly now. They tell your mind, you have permission to stop rehearsing the future. In the next part of our journey, we will begin to draw together these different threads of attachment and look at what rests beneath them all. For now, let Toma under the temple lamp and Leon in her darkened room keep you company. They are practicing what you are practicing, doing what they reasonably can, then releasing the rest into the wide, unknowable space of tomorrow. You do not have to join your mind to every what-if tonight. You can join your body to the bed. Join your breath to the slow rhythm of sleep, and let the night carry what you cannot, as you drift a little deeper into its quiet, steady arms. From Toma's restless mind, that tried to control tomorrow from a bed in the dark, and from Leon's trembling heart, that slowly learned to sit beside its own fear, our path now begins to turn towards something deeper and simpler. We have looked at many kinds of attachment tonight. To praise, to possessions, to identity, to the people we love, to being right, to control. Each one has its own flavor. Each one pulls on a slightly different part of the heart. Yet beneath them all there is a single movement, a single habit, the habit of the mind reaching out and grabbing because it is afraid of what might happen if it simply rests. As you lie here, feeling the bed beneath you and the slow rhythm of your breath, you might sense that movement in yourself. The reaching, not just with hands, with thoughts, with plans, with stories about who you are and what must not change. The mind is like a hand that keeps closing, 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 even when nothing needs to be held. Non-attachment in its quiet way is the practice of letting that hand stay a little more open. Not empty in a cold sense, open in a relaxed sense, ready to touch, to hold, to release, without gripping. In a small mountain village there lived a Zen teacher named Satsu. People came from many days' walk to ask her questions. Not because she had big temples or golden statues, but because her presence felt like clear water. You could sit near her and feel the knots inside you loosen even before you said a word. One evening, 3 visitors arrived at the same time. A merchant who suffered like Sora with the weight of other people's opinions. a widow like Nara, who feared losing the last person she loved, and a young man like Toma whose mind chewed on the future until his nights were thin and gray. They sat together in Satsu's small room while she poured tea. The merchant spoke first. "How do I stop chasing approval?" he asked. "Every smile lifts me. Every frown breaks me." Then the widow. "How do I stop holding my son too tightly?" she whispered. "I am afraid if I loosen my grip even a little, he will disappear." The young man added, "How do I stop planning every terrible thing that might happen? My mind believes that if it rests, I will be taken by surprise and destroyed." Satsu listened as they spoke one after another, the air thick with questions. When they were finished, she did not answer right away. Instead, she picked up a small empty bowl and held it out. "What do you see?" she asked. The merchant looked puzzled. "A bowl," he said. "Nothing in it." "Are you sure?" Satsu asked. "Is it truly empty?" They peered inside. "Yes," said the widow. "There is nothing there." Satsu smiled. "There is space," she said. "Room. Because the bowl is not full of rice or water it can receive. You call it empty. I call it ready." She set the bowl down and continued. "Your minds are like bowls crammed full of thoughts and fears and stories. There is no room left for rest, no room left for new insight. Non-attachment is not about throwing away the bowl. It is about making space inside it." The merchant frowned. "How do I make space?" he asked. "My thoughts come by themselves." Satsu nodded. "You cannot stop them from coming," she said. "But you can stop feeding them. Each time you repeat a story, you add another spoonful. If they do not praise me, I am nothing. If he leaves, I will die. If I do not prepare for every disaster, I will fail. These are like heavy rice added to your bowl. Tonight you practice something different. You see the story arrive. You say, 'Ah, here is that old tale again.' And you do not scoop it in. You let it pass. You keep your attention closer to what is real in this moment, the breath, the body, the simple fact that right now you are safe enough to lie down." She turned to the widow. "You fear that if you release your grip, you will lose your son," she said. "In truth, the tightness only makes you lose this moment with him. You are so busy clutching tomorrow that you cannot feel his presence today. Non-attachment in love is like loosening your arms enough that both hearts can breathe. The love can stay. The fear can soften." Then to the young man. "You fear that if you stop planning, you will be unprepared," she said. "But look at your life. All the worst moments. Did any of them happen exactly as you imagined in your nighttime rehearsals? Did your worry ever truly match reality?" He lowered his eyes. "No," he admitted. "Then why trust worry as a guide?" she asked gently. "You can still be wise. You can save money. You can learn skills. But when the day is over, you lay the plans down. Non-attachment to control means trusting that some part of life will always be unknown. You bow to that mystery instead of trying to conquer it with fear." The three visitors sat in silence. Their problems were different, yet they felt something shared move under Satsu's words. A single deep fear, the fear that if they stop clinging, they will vanish. The fear that if they do not hold tightly, everything they love will slip away. "You live," Satsu said softly, "like a person who grips the edge of a boat with white knuckles, afraid that if you let go, the water will swallow you. You do not notice that the boat is sturdy, that the water is supporting it, that your hands can rest." She gestured toward their chests. "The space beneath all your clinging is not a void," she said. "It is awareness. It is the simple knowing that you are here. You can feel, think, love, grieve, act. All of that happens in this space. Non-attachment is trusting that this space is strong enough to hold gain and loss, praise and blame, closeness and distance, without needing to freeze around any of it. As you breathe now, you can touch that space in a very simple way. Notice the whole body at once, not each finger and toe, just the general sense of a body lying here. Heavy, warm, supported. Within this body, the mind is still making small ripples. Thoughts about today, echoes of the stories, maybe even questions about whether you are doing this right. You do not have to chase them. Imagine that your awareness is like the sky. Thoughts, feelings, and images are like small clouds passing across it. Some are dark, some are light, some move fast, some hang for a while. None of them are the sky itself. They cannot damage the sky. When they pass, the sky remains. In the same way, beneath all your clinging, there is this simple sense of being. You are here. You are breathing. You feel something. You do not have to name it. You do not have to fix it. You can simply be with it. This is the heart of non-attachment. Not empty numbness, but a clear, open space that can welcome whatever arises and let it go when it must. In time, Satsu's 3 visitors each began to experiment with this. The merchant paused between praise and reaction, remembering the bowl. The widow felt the ache of missing and let it move through her without turning it into chains. The planner noticed his what-ifs and brought his attention back to the bed, the breath, the room. They did not become perfect. They still forgot. They still clung. But slowly the inner space grew. It was like opening a window in a crowded room. The furniture was still there, but the air felt different. You do not have to become a mountain of wisdom tonight. You do not have to fully trust this inner space. You only need to glimpse it, to taste it like a small sip of cool water. To know that there is something in you that is larger than your fears and softer than your defenses. As you lie here, feel the bed beneath you not just as a surface, but as a symbol. Life itself is holding you, even as you release your grip on it for a few hours. You do not stop existing when you sleep. You simply rest your clinging. The world continues. Breath continues. Heartbeat continues. Awareness dips into deeper layers and then rises again with the morning. In the next part of our journey, we will begin to shift from explanation into more pure rest. Fewer stories, more silence, more space for this inner sky to widen as you move closer to sleep. For now, let Satsu's empty bowl rest in your mind. Not a symbol of loss, a symbol of room. Room for breath, room for peace, room for you to be here without having to hold so tightly to anything at all, as you drift further into the soft, quiet center of this night. From Satsu's empty bowl and the wide inner sky she pointed to, our path now turns even more gently inward. Up until now, we have walked through stories. We have watched other people loosen their grip on praise, possessions, identities, loved ones, beliefs, and control. Each story was a mirror. Each one showed you a piece of your own mind. Now, as the night grows deeper and your body grows heavier, this journey becomes less about understanding and more about feeling, less about ideas and more about rest. You do not need to remember every teaching. You do not need to keep all the characters straight. You do not need to hold anything. Tonight has already planted its seeds. They are sinking slowly into the soft soil of your heart and mind. Your only task now is to give them darkness and stillness so they can take root. Non-attachment is often imagined as something far away, a state you might reach one day after many years of meditation. But there is a small, practical kind of non-attachment you can taste right here under your blankets. It is the moment when you stop wrestling with the day. The second when you say, not in words but in your body, enough for now. That moment is like stepping out of a river and sitting down on the bank. The water of thoughts and tasks keeps flowing, but you are no longer standing in the middle of the current trying to hold it back. You are resting in the middle of your own life, not because everything is solved, not because you have no responsibilities, simply because even a busy heart and a complicated life deserve pauses. Imagine just for a little while that you are lying not in your bedroom but in a small, safe clearing in a forest. The trees around you are tall and quiet. Their branches move slowly in the evening air. The ground beneath you is soft and dry. You can feel the earth supporting your whole weight. There is no need to go anywhere. There is nowhere else you must be. All the roads that lead out of this clearing will still be there in the morning. Right now, the forest is simply holding you. You can hear small sounds, a breeze in the leaves, an insect moving somewhere in the grass, perhaps a distant stream. These sounds do not ask anything of you. They do not need a reaction. They are simply part of the night. In the same way, your thoughts will continue to make small sounds. Memories may rise, bits of story, quiet worries. You do not have to banish them. You can let them be like rustlings at the edge of the clearing. Not dangerous, not urgent. Not your problem to solve right now. Your body is your place of rest. We will visit it again gently, the way someone might tuck in a friend who has had a long day. Start at the very top of your head. You do not need to move. Just bring the soft light of your attention there. Notice if the muscles of your scalp feel tight or loose. If you feel nothing at all, that is fine. The important thing is not the sensation, but the act of turning toward yourself with kindness. Let that soft attention move down over your forehead, your eyebrows, the skin around your eyes. This is where so many expressions have lived today. Surprise, concentration, concern. The face gets tired from carrying them all. Imagine that a warm hand is smoothing your brow, not forcing anything, just inviting the muscles to rest. Your eyes do not need to watch anything now. Even if they flicker behind your lids, even if images still dance there, the deeper part of you knows that it is safe to let them grow heavy. Let that softness move down into your cheeks, your jaw. Notice if your teeth are touching. Notice if your tongue is pressed hard against the roof of your mouth. If it is, you can let it drop a little. Let your jaw hang in the most natural way. You do not have to hold words in or hold them back. There are no conversations you must rehearse right now, no arguments to win, no perfect sentences to polish. The night does not need you to explain yourself. As your face relaxes, your breath may deepen slightly on its own. You do not need to change it on purpose. Simply notice the wave. Air moves in, air moves out. Nothing to do, nothing to manage. Bring your attention down the back of your neck, across your shoulders. These places have carried so much: bags, tasks, postures, obligations. All day they have held you upright, ready, presentable. Now imagine that someone is gently unhooking invisible straps from your shoulders. You are not responsible for carrying the whole world in this position. Not now. Let the shoulders sink a little more into the bed. Even a small drop matters. It is like loosening a belt, a single notch. The body notices. It sighs in relief. Let that slow awareness drift down your arms, your upper arms heavy and warm, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists and hands. These hands have done countless things today. Opened doors, held objects, typed messages, washed dishes, adjusted clothes, maybe comforted someone, maybe held a steering wheel, maybe gripped a phone. You do not have to list it all. Just feel how tired they might be. Without moving them much, imagine your hands opening a little, palms soft, fingers uncurling, empty. It is all right for them to be empty. You are not losing anything by letting them rest. You are gaining space, From your hands, bring your awareness back into your chest. Feel the gentle rise on the inhale, the fall on the exhale. Somewhere inside that space, your heart is beating. It has been beating since before you understood what attachment or non-attachment meant. It has stayed with you through every joy and every wound. It never once demanded that you be perfect before it continued. It never said, "I will only beat for you if you never fail, if you never let go, if you never lose." It simply keeps going. Tonight you can place a quiet gratitude there if that feels right, not as a big dramatic gesture, just a small inner nod. Thank you for working so hard. Thank you for staying. You do not need to feel anything special in response. Turning your attention there is already a form of love. Let this awareness move down into your belly. Notice how it rises and falls a little with each breath, like a small boat on a gentle lake. Many of your emotions live here. Anxiety, excitement, old hurt. Sometimes the belly tightens as if it is trying to hold them all in. Tonight you can let it be soft. Even if it does not relax all the way, you can invite it. You do not have to brace right now. You can say inwardly, "We are lying down." The moment to run or fight or perform is past. For now, we only breathe. Feel the bed under your hips, your thighs, your knees, down your shins and calves, to your ankles and feet. These legs have carried you everywhere today, from room to room, street to street. They have held you up even when your mind was somewhere else. Now they can be like fallen trees in our forest clearing, solid, heavy, doing nothing. The ground holds them. They do not have to hold you. Now see if you can feel your whole body at once, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. One shape, one field of sensation. Not a project to improve, not a problem to solve, just a living body resting. The mind will try even now to pick something up, a thought, a worry, a story. When it does, remember Satsu's bowl. You do not have to scoop every thought into yourself. You can let some of them pass by. Notice the thought. Name it very softly. Memory, plan, fear. Old story, fear. Then gently bring your attention back to this simple truth. You are lying here, and the earth is holding you. You are breathing. That is enough. This is what it means to rest in the middle of your life instead of waiting for a perfect future to rest in. The job may not be secure, the relationships may not be tidy, the world may not be calm, and still, within this one night, in this one body, there is a small clearing of peace you can step into. Non-attachment, for now, is nothing more dramatic than this choice. To set the worries of past and future down on the edge of the clearing and lie here, just as you are, with the trees watching and the stars above, and let yourself be a human being who is allowed to stop for a while. In the next part of our journey, if you are still with the sound of this voice, we will let the stories fade even more and begin to drift on a slow river of rest, where words grow lighter and silence grows wide. For now, feel once more the weight of your body, the softness of your breath, the way the night wraps around you like a gentle cloak. You are here. You are being held. You are allowed in this very moment to rest in the middle of your life. From the quiet forest clearing where your body has finally been allowed to lie still, our path now moves toward water. Not the restless, crashing sea of worry, but a slow, dark river that knows how to carry things without effort. You do not have to get up to reach it. You are already there. The bed beneath you is your boat. Your breath is the current. Your only task is to lie here and feel yourself being carried. You have spent this night loosening so many small knots. The need for praise, the grip on objects, the tight robe of identity, the closed fist of possessive love, the heavy crown of being right, the restless urge to control tomorrow. Each knot may still be there in some form. This is not magic, but they are softer now. They are less invisible. You have seen them. You have breathed around them. That seeing and that breathing are like warm water soaking old ropes. Little by little, the fibers release. Non-attachment does not arrive in one grand moment. It grows slowly like a river carving its way through stone. Tonight, you are lying right above that river, feeling its patient movement under you. Imagine, if you like, that your body is resting on a small wooden raft. The wood is smooth, worn by many journeys. It does not wobble. It supports your whole weight easily. Beneath it, the river moves at just the right speed, not rushing, not still. Just enough to let you feel that you are being gently, steadily carried. The night around you is wide. The sky above is dark and soft, scattered with faint stars that do not demand to be counted or named. On the banks of this river stand the figures we have met tonight. Sora the potter, Kien with his rope, May in her workshop, Aiko with her books, Haruto with his old uniform folded away, Nara at the gate, Jiro by the river, Daigo at the crossroads, Yori in his studio, Toma and Leon with their busy minds, Satsu with her empty bowl. They do not speak now, they simply stand quietly watching you drift. Each of them has learned in their own way to loosen their grip on something that once seemed impossible to release. They did not become perfect. They still forget. They still tighten sometimes, but they are a little freer than before, a little lighter. As you float past them, you can feel that same possibility in yourself. You do not have to change everything tonight. You are only being carried a small distance downstream, away from the place where you believed that clinging was the only way to stay safe. Feel the mattress under you as the raft. Notice how it holds you no matter how much you relax. You do not fall through when your muscles let go. You do not vanish when your thoughts wander. You are supported whether you are tense or soft. Knowing this, you can give yourself permission to soften more. Your head is heavy on the pillow. Your shoulders are sinking into the mattress. Your back is giving more of its weight to what holds it. Your arms are resting where they fell, hands open or loosely curled, no longer ready to grab, to scroll, to type, to reach. Your hips, legs, and feet are settled, like stones at the bottom of a clear pool needing nothing. On this river, every exhale is a small act of letting go. You breathe out and feel a little of the day leave your body. A conversation that lingered in your mind, a task undone, a mistake replayed, a moment of embarrassment or anger. You do not need to solve them now. With each breath out, you can imagine placing one of these small weights over the side of the raft. They drop into the water with no splash. They sink quietly, becoming part of something larger. The river does not choke on them. It accepts them. It was made to carry many things. On the inhale, you receive only what you need. Enough air to keep the body alive, enough quiet to soothe the mind, enough softness to remind you that for this night you are allowed to rest. If a thought rises that says, I should be thinking about this, I cannot just drift. Notice how it feels like a hand reaching out toward the banks, trying to grab a branch, trying to stop the movement. You have done that many nights. You have grabbed and grabbed, trying to keep your raft tied to this or that worry, this or that plan. Tonight you can try something different. When you notice the hand reaching, you do not have to slap it away. You can simply say, inside, not now. The river knows the way. Then feel the hand relax back onto your chest or your side. Feel the raft continue to move. You are not abandoning your life. You are only letting the current of rest do its work. Somewhere along this river you pass moments from your own past, like small islands in the dark. You might glimpse a younger version of yourself gripping something with all their might. A toy, a friendship, a belief, a dream. You might feel tenderness toward them. You can send them a quiet message as you drift by. You did your best, you can say. You held on because you were afraid. It's all right. You can loosen now. You do not have to stay and fix the scene. You are on the water now, moving onward. The river of letting go does not erase your history. It simply keeps you from building your home in one painful moment forever. At some point as you float, you may notice that the banks are harder to see. The figures on shore are fading into the dark. The trees become shadows. The lanterns of old stories grow dim. This is what happens as you move closer to sleep. The structures of your ordinary mind, the clear pictures, the sharp edges start to dissolve. Thoughts become less linear. Images blend. You are entering the borderland between waking and dreaming, where the river widens and the difference between water and sky is not so clear. In this place, you do not have to make sense of anything. If strange combinations of images appear, let them. A potter's bowl floating through a forest, a rope turning into a ladder of ink strokes, a child waving from a boat made of calligraphy. All of that is fine. It means your brain is starting to speak its own language, a language you do not have to translate. Your only job is to stay on the raft. Stay with the feeling of being carried. Even if you lose the words for a while and then return, there is no problem. You cannot fall off this raft in your sleep. Your body will remain here, on this bed, in this room, held by gravity and fabric and the solid floor beneath. The river is an image, but the rest it points to is real. If a last stubborn worry tries to climb aboard, about work, about family, about health, about something you said or did, see if you can meet it like a traveler you pass on the bank. You can nod to it. I see you, you can say inside. I will walk with you tomorrow. Tonight I float. Then let the raft move on. The worry will still be there in the daylight if it truly needs your attention. Many will have faded all by themselves. That is one of the quiet gifts of sleep. It sorts what is real from what is only noise. The more you trust this process, the less you need to supervise it. There is a teaching in Zen that says, let go or be dragged. It sounds harsh, but at night it becomes something gentle. Let go a little, or be dragged through hours of wakefulness by thoughts that cannot change anything from a pillow. Letting go does not mean dropping everything at once. It means loosening one finger, then another on the rope of control. You are already doing this simply by lying here and listening, simply by staying in this bed instead of getting up to pace, to scroll, to distract yourself. You have chosen the raft over the shore. You are already on the river. From here, the journey will slowly become quieter. Fewer images, more pauses, more room for your own dreams to rise. Before that happens, feel once more the weight of your body, the softness of your breath, the silent companionship of all those inner figures standing on the bank, each one having learned in their own way to loosen their grip, each one silently encouraging you as you drift deeper. You do not have to reach the sea tonight. You only have to allow the river to carry you as far as it can while you sleep. The current is moving. You are safe enough. You are allowed to close your inner eyes even if your outer eyes are already shut, and let this slow, kind water take you further into the dark, healing quiet of this night. From the slow river that has been carrying you, where the banks have faded and the shapes of old stories have grown dim, we drift now into a part of the night that asks almost nothing of you. Up until now, there were teachings woven into the words. There were images of bowls and ropes and robes, of friends by rivers and teachers in small rooms. They all had something to show you about how to hold your life more gently. You have walked far with them. You have loosened many invisible knots, even if only a little. Now you are close to the place where even those lessons can lie down and sleep. You do not need to learn anything more tonight. You do not need to remember or repeat or analyze. You have done enough. For the rest of this journey, your only work is to be here, to breathe, to let yourself be carried ever deeper into rest. Notice again how your body is lying. You may barely feel individual parts now. There is more of a general sense of heaviness, a soft weight spread across the bed. Your head is cradled, your neck is supported, your shoulders have sunk down another level, maybe more than you realized. Your arms rest at your sides or across your body quiet. Your hands, which all day reached and held and tapped and carried, are now simply there like leaves lying on still water. Your chest rises and falls in its own rhythm. You do not have to count the breaths. You do not have to shape them. The body knows how to do this without your supervision. Your belly moves gently with each inhale and exhale like a small boat rocking in a sheltered cove. Your hips, legs, and feet are no longer preparing to walk anywhere. They have arrived. They are as rooted to the bed as stones to the riverbed. The mattress and the earth beneath it are doing all the holding that needs to be done. In this deepening quiet, thoughts may still appear, but they are softer now, less convincing. A memory drifts in, a bit of conversation, a piece of a song, a flash of an old worry. They do not land the way they did earlier. It is as if they are birds flying across a dark sky, visible only for a moment before they dissolve into the night. You are less interested in following them, less willing to leave the warmth of your raft to chase their shadows. This is a simple, powerful kind of non-attachment, not pushing thoughts away, not forcing silence, but letting the mind's movements be like distant weather you are watching through a window. Safe inside, dry, warm. You may notice brief gaps between thoughts now, tiny spaces where nothing much is happening, no story, no plan, no sentence forming, just a sense of floating, just a sense of being. In those instants, however small, you are touching the quiet center beneath all clinging. You do not have to enlarge them, you do not have to hold on to them. They will come and go like waves. The important thing is to know that such spaces exist in you at all. They are not foreign. They are not reserved for saints on mountaintops. They are part of your ordinary mind, revealed whenever you stop tightening so much around everything. Imagine again that you are in a small inner house by the river, the one we visited in another night. The house is simple, a low bed, a little window, a table with nothing on it. You have come in from the world, closed the door, and left your shoes outside. On the table sits a basket. In that basket are your roles and responsibilities. Worker, parent, partner, friend, helper, organizer. All the names you carry in the daytime, all the tasks attached to them. Earlier you placed them there for a while. The basket is still there. It has not tipped over. The roles have not vanished. But they are not in your hands. They are not on your back. They are resting. You can rest too. On the wall hangs another smaller basket. In it are the things you worried about today. Bills, conversations, health, plans, regrets. Not as heavy objects, just as folded papers. Each one says, look at me, fix me, remember me. You do not have to throw them away. You also do not have to read them tonight. They are on the wall, not in your chest. You can look at them if you want from where you lie on the bed. Or you can turn your face toward the window instead, where the night sky spreads itself without asking anything at all. Outside that window, the world is still moving. Somewhere, people are awake, working night shifts, rocking babies, traveling, laughing, arguing, praying. Somewhere, people are falling asleep just as you are. Somewhere, people are waking up to a new day. The vast rhythm of life goes on. You do not have to keep it going. You are allowed for these hours to step out of that immense dance and lie down at its edge. The night can manage without your constant participation. Your part in it right now is simply to breathe and to receive rest. If another part of you protests, saying, I have not done enough to deserve rest, listen to how harsh that sounds. Imagine saying it to a child. You would never look at a tired child, eyes half closed, body sagging, and say, "Stay awake." You did not do enough today to earn sleep. You would wrap them in a blanket, smooth their hair, and say, "Shh, it's all right. You can sleep now." That child still lives in you. The part that walked through this day, did what it could with the energy and understanding it had, and is now simply tired. You can speak to yourself with the same kindness you would offer any small, exhausted being. You do not torment a tired muscle by forcing it to keep lifting. You let it rest so it can serve you again tomorrow. You do not torment a tired mind by forcing it to keep thinking. You let it slip into other, slower modes of knowing. Dreams, deep sleep, silence. In Zen, there is a simple phrase, just this. It means, in this moment, you do not have to hold the whole world. You allow your attention to rest on what is directly here, just this breath, just this body, just this bed, just this darkness, just this feeling of being held. Anything beyond that can wait. Your mind may wander out again. That is its nature. It may grab at an old scene, an unfinished task, a fantasy, a fear. When you notice, you do not need to scold it. You can simply return your attention to just this. The way you might gently guide a sleepy child back under the covers when they wander out of their room at night. No anger, no long explanation, just a quiet hand on the shoulder and a soft, "Back to bed now." Each time you do this, you are practicing non-attachment. You are choosing again and again not to follow every pull. You are choosing to stay where rest is possible. Soon, if it has not already happened, the line between waking and sleep will blur. You may find that you miss entire pieces of what is being said. You may realize you have drifted, then hear only the end of a sentence. You may find images from dreams beginning to mix with these words. A forest, a river, a temple. Faces you know or do not know. Let them blend. There is no need to hold on to the thread. This story does not need you to follow it to its end. It is designed to be let go of. You can drop it mid-sentence. It will not be offended. The night will catch it and fold it into your dreams or into silence. Before that happens completely, feel once more as clearly as you can that you are safe enough right now to rest. The room may not be perfectly quiet. The world may not be perfectly safe. Your life may not be perfectly solved. But in this slice of time, in this small circle of space, you are lying down. You are sheltered. You are breathing. That is enough. You are allowed to let the day end inside you, not just on the clock. You are allowed to let your grip on everything loosen until your fingers, your mind, and your heart are finally soft and still. In the parts that follow, there will be even fewer ideas and more open space. The words will become lighter, like feathers falling more and more slowly through the air. You may not hear them all. You do not need to. They are only a soft accompaniment to something more important. Your own deepening rest. For now, let yourself feel as deeply as you can this simple truth. Tonight, you do not have to hold your life together. Tonight, you are the one being held. From the quiet place where the night needs nothing from you, where your roles and worries are tucked into their baskets on the wall of that inner house, we move now into a stretch of time that is even softer, even slower. Up to this point, the words have walked beside you like a friend, pointing out the knots in your mind, showing you different ways to loosen your grip, reminding you that you are more than all the things you hold. Now we begin to walk less and drift more. You do not have to follow closely. You do not have to remember what came before. You do not have to anticipate what comes next. You are being rocked gently by the simple rhythm of sound and silence, breath and pause, and little by little that rhythm will carry you beyond the reach of these words and into your own dreams. Notice again the feeling of your body, not as separate pieces, but as one continuous shape of warmth and weight. Your head is cradled. Your neck is no longer trying to hold you upright. Your shoulders have been invited again and again to let go of what they carry, and each time they have listened a little more. Your arms rest like branches after a long season of wind. Your hands are no longer reaching for anything. Let them feel as if they are sinking into sand, supported from below, fingers loose, palms soft. Your chest moves without effort. The breath slips in and out like a tide in a sheltered cove. Your belly rises and falls without needing to hold in or hold back. Your hips are heavy, your legs long and quiet, your feet far away and comfortable, like stones at the bottom of a clear pool. All of you is being held. All of you is being allowed to stop. You do not need to search your mind for more things to release. You have done enough releasing for one night. Non-attachment now looks very simple. It is the choice, moment after moment, to not pick anything back up. When a thought floats by, offering you something to worry about, something to plan, something to replay, you can imagine it passing like a leaf on the surface of the river. You notice it, maybe even recognize it as an old, familiar leaf you have seen 1,000 times. Then you let it float past the edge of your view. You do not lean over the side of the raft to grab it. You stay lying down. You stay with the feeling of being carried. Think of your attention like a feather resting on your breath. It is not a heavy stone that pins the breath down or tries to force it to change. It is light. When you breathe in, the feather rises. When you breathe out, the feather falls. Inhale, the feather lifts. Exhale, the feather settles. You do not have to push the feather. You do not have to count the movements. You simply notice them when you are able, and when you forget, the breath goes on anyway. That too is a kind of freedom. You are not responsible for every small thing that keeps you alive. Much of life is taking care of you without any effort from your mind. Your heart is beating on its own. Your blood is moving. Your cells are repairing. The deeper layers of your brain are sorting memories and impressions, deciding what to keep, what to file away, what to let dissolve. You are being worked on from the inside by forces that are always on your side, even when the conscious mind is busy or afraid. Tonight, for these hours, you are allowed to trust those forces. You do not need to supervise them. You do not need to sit up inside yourself with a clipboard checking off boxes for healing and growth. You are the one lying in the bed, not the one managing the night shift. If even now a part of you says, I must stay a little bit awake in case something happens, listen to it with kindness. That part learned long ago that vigilance meant safety. It stayed up in houses where voices were unpredictable, or where money was tight, or where someone's mood could change in a breath. It stayed up through exams, deadlines, crises, heartbreaks. It is tired too. You can imagine that part as a small figure sitting at a window in your inner house, eyes wide, watching the dark. You do not scold them. You walk over, sit beside them, and say very softly, "You have done so well for so long. Tonight I will sit with you." You do not have to watch alone. Sometimes just that promise helps them soften. Other times they need more. You can show them the same things you have been shown: the bed, the breath, the baskets on the table and the wall. The sense that for now there is nothing more that can be done about tomorrow. You can point to the door, closed and secure. You can point to the window, where the night sky looks in, not with sharp eyes, but with a calm, wide gaze that has watched generations come and go. Eventually, that small watcher at the window will lean against you and close their eyes. You may not notice the exact moment it happens. You might already be slipping into sleep as they do. But you have offered them something they rarely receive: company. You have not tried to banish them. You have not told them they are silly. You have sat with them until they could rest. This too is non-attachment, not clinging to the idea that you must be hard on yourself to be safe. Somewhere outside this inner house, beyond the window and the walls, night animals move quietly. An owl on a branch turning its head, a fox slipping through underbrush, a cat curled in a doorway. The world at night is not empty, it is simply slower, quieter, different from the brightness of day. In the same way, your mind at night does not have to be blank to be resting. There can still be movement, small sounds, little images, without you having to get up and chase each one. You are dwelling now in a different mode. Softer light, softer focus, softer demands. Imagine, if it helps, that this part of the night is like being wrapped in a long, soft cloak. It drapes over your shoulders, over your chest, over your whole body. The cloak is made of all the moments of letting go you have practiced tonight. Every time you chose to loosen your grip, even a little, a thread was added. The moment you recognized that praise was not your oxygen, the moment you saw that objects are not your ancestors, the moment you felt that you are more than any job title, the moment you blessed someone you love as they moved away from you, the moment you considered that being right was less important than being kind or open, the moment you named planning mind and came back to the breath, the moment you glimpsed that inner space beneath all clinging. All of those moments have woven themselves together around you now. They do not need you to remember them exactly. They are here as warmth, as softness, as permission. If you notice that you are still a little awake, there is no need to worry about that either. Sleep is not a test you can fail. You do not have to lie here thinking, I must sleep, I must sleep, I must sleep. That thought only tightens what we have spent so long loosening. Instead, you can say, I am resting. Even if you are half awake, you are resting more than if you were sitting up, scrolling, pacing, or arguing with yourself. You are giving your body and mind a chance to slow down. Sleep will come when it is ready. You cannot force it, but you can invite it. You have been inviting it all this time. Each breath, each release, each gentle turning back from thought to sensation has been a small, quiet invitation. At some point, the invitation is accepted. Often it happens right when you stop looking at the door, right when you stop checking to see if sleep has arrived. You simply fall through a thin layer of awareness into something deeper, and you do not even notice the transition. You are in the middle of that approach now. Words may begin to sound more like a hum than clear sentences. You may find that your mind catches only fragments and fills the rest with its own images. You may drift away and then return for a moment, wondering how much time has passed. All of this is perfectly all right. This is how the path into sleep feels from the inside. It is not a straight line. It is a series of gentle descents. Brief rises and deeper descents, like walking down a mountain in the dusk where each turn reveals a slightly darker sky. There's nothing else you need to add. Nothing else you need to fix. For the remainder of this night, whenever you are faintly aware enough to choose, you can keep choosing the same simple thing. To stay with what is soft and real. The weight of your body, the rise and fall of your breath, the sense of being held. When thoughts carry you away, and they will, you can let them. And when you notice, you can come back without blame, like returning to a warm bed after wandering through a cold hallway. Again and again, until the noticing itself falls asleep. In the parts still to come, the words will grow thinner, the pauses longer, the silence wider. They are not here to keep you awake. They are here to keep you company until you no longer need company, because sleep has taken you completely. For now, feel once more the gentle truth at the heart of all of this. You do not have to cling to be alive. You do not have to strive to deserve rest. You are enough, exactly as you are in this moment, tired, imperfect, breathing human. The night wraps itself around that truth and holds it. The way it holds the hills and the rivers and the sleeping towns. Let yourself drift a little more now, trusting that you are being carried even when you are no longer listening, into the deep, healing dark that has been waiting for you all along. From the place where you are finally allowed to drift, wrapped in the cloak woven from all the small moments of letting go, we move now toward the softest edge of the night. This is the borderland where waking thoughts begin to lose their sharp corners and slowly turn into dreams. You are still aware enough to hear these words, but you may notice that you do not fully hold them anymore. They pass through you like a breeze through half-open curtains. That is not a problem. That is the point. You have spent most of your day in the bright, narrow space of thinking, planning, remembering, judging, deciding, reacting. The mind has been like a lantern with a very focused beam, always searching for the next thing. Here, at this late hour, that beam is gently widening. The light is softer now. It does not need to point at anything in particular. It can simply glow. Imagine, if you like, that you are lying at the edge of a wide lake just before dawn, when the sky is still dark but the first suggestion of light is hidden somewhere far beneath the horizon. The water is calm. Mist hangs low over the surface. You are not cold. You are wrapped in a warm blanket, the ground beneath you solid and familiar. The air is quiet in a way that only exists in the deep of night. Not silent exactly, but full of gentle, harmless sounds. A small ripple, a distant bird, the soft whisper of wind moving through reeds. In this place, you do not have to decide whether you are awake or asleep. You are something in between, like a tide that has not yet chosen to rise or fall. Thought and dream mix here. Images may appear without warning. A path through trees, a room from long ago, a face you have not seen in years, a stranger's voice saying a word that makes no sense. You do not need to organize any of it. You do not need to say, this is important, this is not. Your deeper mind is already sorting, already weaving, already doing its quiet work. You can let it. You have practiced loosening your grip on so many levels tonight. Now you are loosening your grip on clarity itself. That might sound strange. We are often taught that clarity is always good. During the day, yes. Clarity helps you choose, speak, act. But at night, a different kind of wisdom appears, one that does not depend on sharp lines and clean edges. It arrives in images and feelings, in strange connections and gentle forgetting. To receive that wisdom, you have to allow your usual clarity to blur for a while. You have to step out of the bright lantern light and lie down in the softer, wider glow. As you lie here, notice how effort itself is fading. Earlier, you might have been doing this practice, bringing your attention back to the breath, relaxing your muscles with intention, naming thoughts when they appeared. All of that was helpful. It brought you here. Now even that can rest. If you forget to follow your breath, that is all right. If you do not finish relaxing every part of your body, that is all right. If you do not hear the end of this sentence, that is more than all right. It means the process is working. Non-attachment right now means not clinging even to the idea of being a good meditator or a good listener. You are allowed to drop this guidance the way you would drop a pebble into deep water and watch it disappear. Imagine for a moment that you are lying in a small boat at the very center of that quiet lake. The boat is wide enough that you cannot fall out by mistake. Your back is against smooth wood. Your hands rest at your sides. Above you, the sky stretches like a dark, endless ceiling. You can see a few stars, but you do not need to count them. You feel the boat move slowly under you, rocked by the smallest waves. They are so gentle that at times you cannot tell whether you are moving or still. That too is how this moment feels. Are you awake? Are you asleep? It does not really matter. You are being carried either way. Around the lake, the trees stand like quiet guardians. They do not lean in. They do not judge. They have watched countless nights like this one. People have come and gone. Worries have risen and fallen. The trees remain. They are a reminder that there is a part of you that is also like that. Deep, rooted watching, not disturbed by each small change on the surface. When thoughts come, and they will, they are like brief reflections on the water. A memory is the moon sliding across the surface. A worry is a passing cloud. An old story is like a bird swooping down to drink and then flying away. You do not have to reach your hand into the water to grab those reflections. You cannot hold them. They are not meant to be held. You only feel the boat rock once, then settle again. If a thought has more weight, if it feels like a stone dropping into the lake, a sharp regret, a sudden fear, notice the splash. Hear it. Feel the ripples move out. Then watch how the surface returns to stillness on its own. You did not have to smooth it with your hands. The water knows how to calm itself if you do not keep throwing more stones. In the same way, your mind knows how to settle if you do not keep adding new worries, new judgments, new stories. You are helping it settle simply by not feeding each thought with extra attention. If you notice that you have followed a thought down a winding path for a while, there is no need to be frustrated. You can simply notice, I left the boat for a moment in my imagination, and then gently lie back down in it. Feel again the weight of your head, the heaviness in your limbs, the slow rhythm of your breathing, the gentle sway beneath you. Drift. There may be brief moments of nothing now, little gaps where it feels like you skipped a few seconds. You might suddenly become aware and think, I do not remember the last part. That is a sign that you are already brushing against sleep, touching its edges with the tips of your awareness. Those gaps will grow wider. They will join together until there is a long stretch you do not remember at all. That is deep sleep. You do not need to watch it happen. It will arrive in its own way, like fog rolling over the lake, covering everything in a soft, quiet blanket. You may dream before that happens or after. Those dreams may echo pieces of what you have heard tonight: a monk with a broom, a potter's wheel, a river, a forest. Or they may be completely different, strange cities, forgotten classrooms, faces you cannot name. You do not need to control them. The dreaming mind is like a painter working alone in a studio, trying out shapes and colors without needing anyone's approval. Let it paint. You do not have to stand over its shoulder. Right now, what matters most is the sense of safety in your body. Even if it is not perfect, see if you can find one place that feels the most relaxed. It might be your hands. It might be your feet. It might be your face. Rest your attention there for a moment. Let that ease spread slowly outward, the way ink spreads through water or warmth spreads through a blanket. Not forced, natural. You are not trying to make yourself completely relaxed. You are simply allowing relaxation to invite itself wherever there is room. If there are still tense places, they do not mean you are failing. They just mean you have lived, you have felt, you have carried many things. You can tell them gently, you are allowed to stay tight if you must. I am still going to sleep. That is a deep kind of non-attachment, not demanding that your body be perfect before you offer it rest. As this part of the night continues, the need for words will become smaller and smaller. You are approaching a threshold that language cannot cross. Only the body and the deeper mind can go there. They have been many times. They know the way. Trust that. Trust them. Trust the bed. Trust the night. If you are still barely awake enough to hear this, let one simple phrase be your last clear thought before you drift further. I am safe enough to rest. Or if that does not feel true, you can soften it. I am resting as well as I can. Either way, you are honoring the fact that you have turned toward rest tonight. You chose, at least for this stretch of time, not to keep running, not to keep tightening, not to keep carrying everything alone. That choice matters. It is already working on you even now, as your awareness thins like mist and the boat rocks gently on the dark water, carrying you, without effort, across the invisible line where thoughts become dreams, and dreams sink into deep, healing sleep. From the quiet lake where your little boat rocked at the edge of dreams, we drift now towards something deeper and quieter still. If the lake was the borderland, the place where thoughts and dreams began to mix, then what lies ahead is like an ocean at night. Vast, dark, gentle. You do not stand on its shore and stare at it with questions. You are already in it. You are already sinking in, not as something drowning, but as something being cradled in endless water. You do not have to swim. You do not have to steer. You are simply being held. By now, the words you hear may feel like echoes from a distance. They arrive, touch you for a moment, and then fade before the mind can grab them. This is perfect. This means you are no longer sitting in the bright front room of awareness where every sentence is examined and understood. You have walked down the hallway, turned off most of the lights, and are lying in the back room, where understanding is not made of concepts but of the simple fact that you are here, breathing, safe enough to rest. Imagine, if you like, that you have stepped out of the small boat on the lake and now float in warm, calm seawater under a moonless sky. The sea is not cold. It is body temperature, soft and comforting, like a bath drawn by someone who loves you. Your face stays above the surface. Your ears and the rest of your body are submerged. Sounds from the world above are muffled. The usual sharp edges of noise become soft, distant rumbles. You can still hear, but everything feels far away, like someone talking in another room while you lie in bed with the door half closed. Your body is almost weightless here. The water carries you, holding every inch of you equally. There are no pressure points. No part of you has to work harder than another. You do not have to tense a single muscle to stay afloat. If you notice a place in your body still gripping, still bracing, you can show it the water. Look, you can say inwardly. You are being held. You can let go. In this ocean, your thoughts are like tiny bubbles rising from somewhere far below. They drift up, reach the surface of your mind, pop, and disappear. You do not chase them back down to their source. You let them come and go. A bubble of memory, pop. A bubble of worry, pop. A bubble of some strange, half-formed dream, pop. Each one is brief. Each one leaves the surface as smooth as before. The ocean never complains when a bubble appears. It does not cling to it or try to keep it from bursting. It accepts its arrival and its leaving with the same calm. You can treat your own thoughts this way now. Earlier in the night, we named clinging in many forms. We told stories of people who grip too tightly to their work, their belongings, their identities, their loved ones, their views, their need to be in control. Each story showed you that you are not alone in these habits and that loosening is possible. Now, in this deep place, you do not need more examples. You are practicing non-attachment in the simplest possible way, by not holding on to anything that rises in your mind. A picture appears. You see it for a heartbeat. It dissolves. You do not try to bring it back. A sentence starts and fades. You do not force yourself to finish it. A worry reaches towards you. You watch it like a bubble touching the surface and then disappearing into the night. Underneath these small movements, something in you is very still. Not frozen, not tense. Still in the way of a deep sea that is undisturbed by little waves on top. You do not have to find that stillness as a clear object. You only have to know that it is there. You can feel it as a kind of background quiet beneath everything else. Even your breath, which has been your anchor all this time, begins to feel softer now, less defined. You know you are breathing, but you do not track each inhale and exhale the way you did before. They blur together into a gentle rhythm. This is how the body says, "You can stop watching me now, I know what to do." If a part of you is still checking, still asking, "Am I asleep yet?" notice how that question feels like a small hand poking at the surface of the water. It makes little ripples. It might even create a tiny splash of frustration. That's all right. You can smile inwardly at that question. You can answer it the way the ocean would answer, with silence. You do not need to decide if you are awake or asleep. You are resting. That is enough. Rest is the bridge between the two. Rest is what you came here for. Sleep will arrive out of rest, like deep water out of shallow, without you needing to see the line. Imagine now that far beneath you on the ocean floor lie all the heavy stones you have carried in your mind. The stone of "I must be praised." The stone of "I must keep everything." The stone of "I must stay this person forever." The stone of "I cannot lose them." The stone of "I must be right." The stone of "I must control what happens." Raisonnement. One by one earlier tonight you began to drop them. They sank slowly through the water. Now they rest on the bottom. You are far above them. They are not gone, but they are not in your hands. You are floating, lighter without them, feeling the gentle sway of the water move through your limbs. Above the surface, the sky is completely dark. You cannot see the horizon. You cannot see where the water ends and the air begins. There is something very peaceful in that. During the day, everything has sharp boundaries. Here, everything blends. Sea into sky, thought into dream, wakefulness into sleep. You do not have to hold any of it apart. There is a Zen saying that goes, "When the mind is at rest, the whole world rests." You are tasting a bit of that now. The world has not actually stopped, but your small piece of it, the part you inhabit inside your skin and behind your eyes, is resting. In this way, for this night, the world as you experience it is at rest too. If old fears or tight habits try one last time to rise up and grab you, you can meet them with images instead of arguments. If the fear of the future comes, you can imagine placing it in a small boat and watching that boat drift away across the surface. If the ache of loss comes, you can picture it as a wave that lifts you gently and then sets you back down. If the shame of a mistake comes, you can see it as a patch of darker water that soon mixes with the rest, its edges melting, its color lightening. No feeling, however strong, can hold its shape forever in this ocean. Everything here is invited to soften. You too are invited to soften beyond the point where you can direct it. You are close now to the place where guidance cannot follow, where even the kindest voice becomes unnecessary, where the body and the deeper mind take over completely and do the quiet work they were made to do in the dark. Healing, repairing, integrating, dissolving what needs to dissolve, weaving what needs to be woven. You are not required to help. In fact, your help would only slow them down. Your task is to step aside like someone leaving a room so that skilled healers can work. You go down the hall. You lie on a couch. You fall asleep. The healing happens without you watching. As you feel yourself sinking further, if you are still just awake enough to notice, you can offer yourself a final blessing, not as a dramatic ritual, but as a soft thought passing through. Something like, "May I rest. May I be at ease. May I loosen my grip on what hurts me. May I remember tomorrow and the next day that I do not have to cling so tightly." You do not have to repeat it. You do not have to say it perfectly. Even a half-formed wish, spoken in the quiet of a drifting mind, has power. It drops like a small pebble into the deep, sending gentle ripples through your sleeping hours. Soon these words will slip out of reach. They will become part of the vague hum that sometimes lingers at the edges of dreams. Or they will vanish completely as if they were never spoken. That is as it should be. What matters is not that you remember them, but that you have allowed yourself to be led here, to this deep ocean of rest where you are no longer holding your life in your hands. The ocean is holding you. The night is holding you. Life itself is holding you. You can let go, not forever, not in some dramatic way, but enough for this one night, for these few hours, so that you may rise again when morning comes with a body more rested, a mind less tangled, and a heart that knows, even if only a little more than before, how it feels to live without clinging so tightly to everything. From the deep ocean of rest, where you are no longer holding your life in your hands and the night itself has become the one that holds you, we drift now toward a very quiet understanding. Not an idea you have to memorize, not a teaching you have to repeat, just a soft feeling that begins to form somewhere in your chest, even as your thoughts grow slower and your awareness grows dimmer. It is the feeling that you can trust not only this night but also the morning that will eventually follow it. You do not have to reach for that morning now. You do not have to prepare for it. You only need to know, faintly, that it is coming, and that between here and there you are allowed to disappear for a while into sleep. Think for a moment of all the mornings you have already lived through without thinking about them. The ones that came after days you thought might break you. The ones that followed nights when you were sure you had ruined everything. The sun still rose. Your lungs still filled. Your feet still found the floor when you stepped out of bed. Somehow your life went on. You may not remember how you got from those dark moments to those ordinary mornings, but you did. Something carried you. Something carried you then. Something is carrying you now. You do not have to name it. You do not have to understand it. You only have to allow it. As you lie here, notice again how little is required of you in this moment. You do not have to answer anyone. You do not have to solve anything. You do not have to be impressive or strong or brave. You are not being watched or graded. There is no audience. There is only this body on this bed, in this room, in this slice of night. Your breath moves in its old familiar rhythm. Inhale, the chest rises, the belly lifts. Exhale, the chest falls, the belly softens. You have been doing this your entire life, through every season, through every joy and sorrow. You can trust this rhythm more than any plan your mind can build. It is older than your fears. It will outlast your current worries. Imagine, if you like, that deep inside your chest there is a small, steady light. It does not flicker wildly. It does not blaze like a fire. It glows like a coal in the ashes of a hearth that has burned all day and is now winding down. That glow is your life. It does not depend on you thinking about it. It does not depend on you holding tight to anything. Even when you are asleep and do not know your own name for a few hours, that glow remains. It is the same light that was there when you were a child, falling asleep after a long day of play. It is the same light that will be there tomorrow morning when you open your eyes, even if you feel different, even if your circumstances have changed. Tonight, non-attachment can be as simple as trusting that this inner light does not need constant guarding. Your thoughts will try out of habit to be guards. They will pace around the hearth asking, what if it goes out? What if something happens? What if I am not ready? You can thank them for their effort and then show them what you are already sensing. The light is steady. It has stayed with you through so many changes. It does not need them to stay awake all night. It needs darkness. It needs rest. It needs room to glow without being blown on by constant anxious breath. Picture again the characters whose stories you walked through earlier in this journey. Sora the potter, Kin with his rope, May in her crowded workshop, Aiko in her lecture hall, Haruto with his packed-away uniform, Nara watching her son walk down the road, Jiro at the river, Daigo at the crossroads, Yori in his studio, Toma under the temple lamp, Lian at her bedroom door, Satsu with her empty bowl. Each of them had a moment, small or large, when they allowed themselves to loosen their grip and trust what would come next. They did not know exactly what the morning would bring, but they moved toward it anyway with slightly softer hands. You are doing something similar now. You are letting go of the need to tightly manage the passage from this night into your next day. For most of your life, you may have tried to cross from day to day as if you were building the bridge yourself every time, thinking, planning, worrying, rehearsing. But there is another way. You can fall asleep and let the bridge appear under you while you are not looking. You lie down on one side and you wake up on the other. The work has been done without your awareness. Your mind has sorted, your body has repaired, your emotions have softened at the edges. This happens night after night, whether you think about it or not. Tonight, you are simply paying gentle attention to the fact that you can trust this process. If a thought tries to grab you with urgency, remember this. Fix that. Decide now. See how it feels against the softness of this moment. It is like someone bursting into a quiet room shouting, while everyone else is lying down with their eyes closed. You do not have to argue with the shout. You do not have to obey it. You can let it echo once and then fade into the walls. The room does not lose its quiet because one loud sound passed through. It returns to its natural state. Your mind can do the same. Each time you stop feeding a thought with more thought, you let your inner room return to quiet a little faster. Your body is teaching you non-attachment without words. Earlier, small knots in your muscles began to loosen. They may not all be gone. That is all right. Feel now how even the remaining tension is being held by something larger. The overall sense of heaviness, of sinking, of being supported, is bigger than any one tight spot. That is how it is with clinging and letting go too. You may still be attached to many things. It does not matter. The overall direction tonight has been toward softness. That is enough. You are like a clenched fist that has opened at least a little. The fingers may not be fully spread, but they are not locked anymore. Air can move between them. The night can move between your thoughts. Sleep can slip through the gaps you have made. Somewhere far away but getting closer, morning is slowly being prepared. The sun is turning toward the part of the world where you are. People who bake bread are beginning their work. Birds are resting before their first songs. The sky is gathering the light it will pour over rooftops and trees and streets. You do not have to meet that light with tight shoulders and a raw mind. You can meet it with whatever ease this night can give you. It may be a lot, it may be a little. Either way, it will be more than if you had stayed tense and awake. As you sink deeper into this dark ocean of rest, if you are still faintly aware of these words, you can let them become softer, simpler, more like a lullaby than a lesson. You are safe enough to rest. You have done enough for today. You have worried enough for today. You have tried enough for today. You can put the day down. You can let the night finish what you started. You can trust that while you sleep, the same quiet intelligence that has carried you through every other night will keep breathing you, keep your heart beating, keep your life moving forward in ways you do not need to see. Let go now as much as you can of the need to monitor this process. If another thought comes, let it be like a distant sound of waves on a shore you are moving away from. You hear it for a moment, then it fades. What remains is the feeling of being cradled in water, in darkness, in warmth. Your body is heavy and light at the same time. Heavy with the gravity that holds you, light with the burdens you have set down. This is the heart that trusts the morning. The part of you that knows you can vanish into sleep and still be here when the sun returns. Soon, very soon, these words will slide beyond your reach. They will become part of the background hum of your dreams, or they will disappear completely into silence. Let them go. Let this story too be something you do not cling to. Let it sink down and rest on the ocean floor with all the other tales you have heard and forgotten. What will remain is the simple fact that tonight, for this one span of hours, you allowed yourself to trust. You trusted the bed. You trusted your breath. You trusted the night. You trusted that you did not have to hold everything together. And in that trust, you are already being lifted and laid down gently into the deep healing sleep that has been waiting, patiently, just beneath your waking mind. From the heart that has begun to trust the morning, from the deep ocean where you are being held without needing to hold anything in return, we move now into a part of the night where what is happening can no longer be tracked by thought. You are not just listening anymore, you are dissolving. The stories we have told, the images of rivers and forests and temples are now sinking down into the deeper layers of your mind like lanterns lowered into water. Their light does not go out. It simply moves where your ordinary awareness cannot follow. You do not need to guide it. You do not need to understand it. You can let it work in the dark. Your body is very heavy now, or perhaps almost weightless. Either way, it is no longer something you feel you must manage. Your head rests where it has been all this time. Your neck is soft. Your shoulders are not preparing to lift anything. They have put the day down. Your arms and hands are settled. They do not reach for tools or screens or handles. They are as they are, relaxed or half relaxed, and that is enough. Your chest rises and falls in a rhythm that has become so familiar you hardly notice it. Air moves in. Air moves out. Life continues. You are not doing it. It is doing you. Your belly is quiet. It may still carry traces of the day's emotions, but they are like flavors fading on the tongue after a long meal. There is no need to taste them over and over. Your hips, thighs, knees, calves, and feet are resting, their work done until tomorrow. You might feel the bed more than your own weight now, the soft support underneath everything, steady, unchanging, asking nothing of you. Earlier we spoke of non-attachment as loosening your grip on praise, on possessions, on identities, on people, on opinions, on control. Now, non-attachment can become even simpler. It is the gentle decision repeated less and less as sleep approaches, to not cling even to wakefulness itself. You are allowed to leave this bright, watchful room of consciousness and wander into other rooms where you do not know the furniture, do not know the language, do not know the rules. You have done this every night of your life. There is nothing to fear in it. Dreams may come. They may bring strange combinations of scenes and faces and feelings. Let them. They are like visitors in a theater that only opens after midnight. You are both the stage and the audience. But you do not have to direct the play. It will perform itself. It will end when it must. Deep sleep will come too. The place with no images at all, where time seems to disappear. You do not remember that place when you leave it, but you feel its effects. Muscles healed, mind clearer, emotions less sharp. It is like visiting a quiet mountain temple at night and leaving before dawn. You do not recall the details of the rooms, the faces, the walls. You only know that when you return to the valley, something in you feels washed, smoothed, lighter. In this deep stretch of night, the seeds planted by these stories are being watered even if you are not thinking about them. The image of Sora placing his bowl on the world's table and cutting the thread of ownership. The image of Keen letting the old rope slip into the sea. May opening her doors and letting her grandmother's cloth live again. Aiko loosening the robe of the one who knows and admitting, "I do not know yet." Haruto discovering that his courage could live without a uniform. Nara blessing her son as he walked away. Jiro noticing that his jealousy was just love afraid of changing shape. Daigo laying down the heavy sword of being right. Yori learning that tradition can be a river, not a cage. Toma naming planning mind and returning to the bed. Leon placing a hand on her frightened heart and saying, "Right now we are safe enough." Satsu holding up an empty bowl and saying, "This is not nothing. This is room." All of those images are settling now. You do not have to grip any of them. They sink down like small stones dropped into a pond. Their ripples will move through your days to come, even if you never think of the stories again. What you will carry back from this night is not a clear memory of every teaching. It is a feeling, a felt sense, maybe very subtle, that you do not have to wrap your hands and mind so tightly around everything. A small inner pause before you cling. A little more space between a thought and your belief in it. A little more softness in the way you hold the people you love. A little more willingness to say, "I do not know," without shame. A little more trust that you can put something down for a while and it will not disappear from your life. You may wake tomorrow and feel none of this as a grand revelation. You might simply notice in the middle of an ordinary moment that you take one softer breath instead of tightening. That you let one harsh thought pass without repeating it. That you smile at yourself in a way that is a bit more forgiving than usual. You might not even notice that. The changes can be so small they are like grains of sand dropping silently into a jar. But over time, the jar fills. Over time, your life feels different. You do not have to force that. Tonight's work has already begun it for you. As you lie here, if a last wakeful part of your mind is still listening, you can begin to let even these words blur. You can hear them only as sounds, not as instructions. A slow rhythm to lie down inside of. The meaning is already in you. You do not need to hold it in your head. You do not need to keep up. If sentences break apart and you catch only a word here and there, ocean, breath, light, rest, that is completely fine. Those words are enough to carry the feeling. If you would like something simple to return to, choose a short phrase that feels kind. It might be, "I can rest now." It might be, "I am being held." It might be, "Nothing more to do tonight." Let that phrase float at the edge of your awareness, like a small boat tied loosely to the shore. You do not need to repeat it on purpose. It will show up when it wants to, drift away when it wants to, and that is exactly right. You are moving now toward the part of the night where there is almost nothing left to say, where language falls away and only breath and heartbeat and dreams remain. Before we cross fully into that silence, sense once more the support beneath you, the bed, the floor, the building, the earth. Feel how everything holds you from below. You do not have to hold yourself up. You do not have to stay alert to keep gravity working. You are allowed to surrender your weight completely. Non-attachment at this depth is not a philosophy. It is the simple act of letting your whole self be heavy, of letting everything you carried today slide off your shoulders, off your chest, off your mind, and fall into the dark, soft space around you. You are not throwing your life away. You are setting it down for a few hours on a low table by the bed, trusting that it will still be there when you wake, and that you will be better able to carry it then. Soon, very soon, you will slip beyond the reach of these words entirely. They will become like a dream you only half remember, or like voices downstairs as you sleep in an upstairs room. That is as it should be. Let them fade. Let this story too be something you do not cling to. What stays with you will not be the sentences, but the softness they created in you, the space they cleared, the gentle knowing that you can live even just a little with lighter hands. For now, there is nothing more you need to do. No more work for the mind, no more jobs for the heart, no more effort for the body. You have arrived at the part of the night where rest deepens on its own, where the ocean carries you without asking who you are or what you have done. You are a breathing, beating, resting being wrapped in darkness, safe enough for this moment. Let that be everything. Let yourself sink without resistance into the gift you are already receiving but do not have to hold. The deep, healing rest that will carry you quietly toward morning and send you back into the light with hands a little freer, heart a little softer, and a life that feels just a little less bound by the need to cling. From the deep place where rest is working on you in silence, where the seeds of letting go have already sunk beneath the surface. There will come a time, though not yet, when you begin to drift back toward the light of a new day. You do not need to pull yourself there. You do not need to know when it will happen. Just as you did not control the moment you fell asleep, you will not control the moment you begin to wake. Both belong to a rhythm older than your worries. Right now, you are still in the middle of that rhythm, cradled in the dark, close to the deepest part of the night. If you are hearing these words at all, it may be in a hazy, flickering way. They brush against your awareness and slip away. That is exactly how this part of the journey is meant to feel. Thoughts come and go, dreams come and go, the sense of time comes and goes. What remains is a very quiet, very steady fact. You are being cared for by something larger than your thinking mind. You can imagine that somewhere ahead of you, far beyond the edge of this darkness, morning is quietly laying out its clothes. The sky is folding colors you cannot yet see. The world is setting the table for a new day with sounds and tasks and possibilities. But you do not have to get ready for any of that now. Morning is like a gentle host preparing a room while you sleep. When you arrive, it will be there. Clean enough, bright enough, ready enough. You do not need to pace outside the door. You are inside another room entirely, a room made of night and breath and rest. There is a soft wisdom in allowing yourself to be completely here while you are here, instead of trying to live ahead. You have done that much of your life. Tonight you are doing something different. You are learning what it feels like to trust the return without rehearsing it. Non-attachment in this late hour is not a heroic effort. It is the absence of effort. It is the way your hand falls open when it is too tired to keep holding anything. It is the way your eyelids slowly close and stay closed because they cannot keep lifting themselves. It is the way your brain, after turning and turning all day, finally lets itself spin down. You are not forcing the shutdown. You are simply stepping out of the way. If it helps, imagine that you are resting in a small, quiet station between two worlds. Behind you lies the world of being awake and full of roles and demands. Ahead of you lies the world of tomorrow's tasks and encounters. This station is built just for you. It is dimly lit. There is a long bench, soft enough to lie on. You are the only one here. No announcement boards, no ticking clocks. No one calling your name. You already have your ticket for the train to morning. It is tucked somewhere safe. You cannot lose it. The time of departure is already set. You do not need to know what it is. Your only job in this station is to rest on the bench until the train arrives on its own and gently carries you forward. You might drift in and out of awareness in this station. Sometimes you will hear distant sounds. Sometimes you will hear nothing at all. Sometimes your mind will flash images on the inner walls, fragments of dreams like brief advertisements for worlds that do not exist. You do not have to buy what they are selling. You can watch them appear and disappear without getting up from the bench. If any old worries sneak into this station, they look a little out of place here. They are dressed for daytime, carrying briefcases and lists. They may approach you, breathless, saying, "You must think of this now. You must not waste this time." Smile at them in your mind. You can answer calmly, "Not now. My train is not here yet. When it comes, I will have all day to walk and decide and fix what I can. Tonight I am only waiting and resting." The worries might grumble. They might walk around in circles. Eventually they get bored. This station is not something they can control. They drift back out toward the daylight where they belong. They will find you again tomorrow if they truly need your attention. Many will not. Many are only echoes that lose their strength when you stop feeding them. You may wonder at some level what good all of this will do once you are awake again. How resting like this, loosening like this, could possibly help with the real problems waiting on your desk or in your relationships. The answer does not arrive as a clear argument. It arrives as a feeling. A little more space between what happens and how you react. A little more patience with yourself when you make a mistake. A little more softness in your tone when you speak to someone you care about. A slightly slower breath when something unexpected happens. Those small shifts are not minor. They change the whole flavor of your day the way a pinch of salt can change the whole taste of a dish. You may not remember this night clearly. You may wake and think, I just slept. But your nervous system will remember. It will remember that it was allowed to stop chasing for a while, that it was allowed to be held. And because it remembers, it will be a little easier to return to that feeling the next time you lie down. The next time you listen to a story like this. The next time you decide not to scroll or struggle your way into sleep. You do not need to promise yourself that you will never cling again. You will. Everyone does. You will still have moments when you grip your work, your loved ones, your opinions, your plans as if they were the only solid things in the world. The point of this night is not to make you immune to attachment. It is to show you in your own body that you have another option. You can also release. You can also step back. You can also rest even while the world is imperfect and unfinished. That knowledge is something you will carry back with you without having to think about it. Like a scent that lingers on your clothes after you leave a forest, this calm will cling to you in small ways even after you step back into noise. If you are still sensing these words, you are very close now to the place where morning begins its quiet approach. You may not notice the shift when it happens. You may wake hours from now with no memory of these last sentences. That is all right. The night does not need to be remembered to have done its work. Let your mind grow as simple as possible. No more questions, no more checking, no more measuring how sleepy you are. Let there be just this breath, and this one, and this one. Each exhale a small surrender. Each inhale a quiet gift. The rest of this journey belongs more to your dreams than to waking thought. You have walked far enough with the lantern of these stories. You can set it down now on the floor of that little station, watch its light dim and close your eyes fully, trusting that when the morning train arrives, it will find you. Not more perfect, not completely transformed, but a little more rested, a little less tangled, a little more able in the middle of your ordinary day to remember that you once lay very still in the arms of the night and discovered you did not need to cling to stay alive. Somewhere not too far from where you are now, morning is already beginning to think about you. It is still quiet here, still dark in the room behind your eyelids, but far away the sky is slowly turning in your direction. You do not have to turn toward it yet. You are still wrapped in the soft middle of the night. Your body is still heavy on the bed. Your breath is still moving in its slow, gentle rhythm. But there is a faint sense, like a whisper at the edge of a dream, that one day is ending inside you, and another will soon begin. You do not need to rush to meet it. It will come at its own pace. You can stay right here, in this space where you are not quite gone and not quite back, and let the shift prepare itself without your effort. In this tender place, your mind may drift in and out of small images. A door cracked open with light behind it. A path with the first gray hint of dawn at the end. A window with a pale rectangle slowly appearing on the floor. Let the images come and go. You do not need to lean into them. You do not need to build stories around them. Your deeper mind is already beginning to turn toward waking, the way a plant slowly turns toward the light even in the dark. You are still resting. You are still allowed to rest. At the same time, something in you is getting ready to carry a quiet gift back into the day. You may not feel it clearly. That is all right. It does not depend on your clear awareness. It has been forming in you all night, each time you saw a place where you cling and softened, even a little. You have seen how Sora tightened around people's opinions of his work and how he slowly learned to love the making more than the praise. You have seen Qian mistake a length of rope for his father, and then discover his father's presence in his own hands and skills. You have walked with Mei through her crowded rooms as she opened her doors and let her grandmother's cloth return to the world. You have watched Aiko loosen the robe of the one who knows and admit that she does not know yet. You have sat beside Haruto while he realized his courage did not vanish when he set his uniform aside. You have watched Nara bless her son as he walked away and find herself again in the quiet of an empty house. You have listened to Jiro see his jealousy for what it was and allow his friendship to change shape instead of shattering. You have stood at the crossroads with Daigo, feeling the weight of being right fall from his shoulders. You have watched Yori let tradition become a river instead of a wall. You have sat with Toma under the temple lamp while he saw that worry is not the same as preparation. You have knelt beside Lian as she placed a hand over her racing heart and said, "Right now, we are safe enough." You have listened to Satsu speak of an empty bowl that is not nothing but room. All of these moments have settled into you. You do not have to recall them in order. You do not have to list them in your mind. They are living in you now as a feeling, a direction, a small but real shift in how you might move through your days. When you wake, the world outside will look the same ceiling, the same walls, the same objects on the shelf, the same tasks waiting. But you will be meeting that world with hands that have practiced opening. Non-attachment will not appear as some grand, constant calm. It will appear as small choices that almost no one else notices. You will notice a thought rise that says, "If they do not like this, I am nothing." And instead of believing it completely, you will feel a tiny space around it, enough to breathe. You will reach for an old object and feel the usual surge of fear about losing it, and somewhere in you a softer voice will whisper, "The memory is in me, not only in this thing." You will find yourself about to say yes to something only because I am the helpful one. And you may pause for a second to ask, is this kindness or fear of losing my role? You will feel a wave of worry about a future you cannot see, and you might even once say to yourself, planning mind, and come back to the feeling of your feet on the floor or the air in your chest. You will likely still cling many times. That is part of being human. You will still feel the sting of criticism, the ache of distance, the pull of wanting to be right, the rush of trying to control one more thing. The difference is that now, somewhere inside, you will also remember the taste of what it was like to lie here in the dark and not hold anything for a while. You will remember the feeling of being a bowl with room in it, a hand not gripping, a body resting without needing to earn that rest. You may not think of it in those words. You may not think of it at all. You might simply sigh and let your shoulders drop one breath sooner than before. That is more than enough. As you move toward the soft return of morning, you do not have to make promises or plans about how you will live. You do not have to vow to never cling again. You do not have to turn this night into a project. That would only be attachment wearing new clothes. Instead, you can walk into your next day as an experiment. You can let each moment be a chance to notice how you are holding things and, when you remember, to hold them just a little more lightly. If you forget, and you will, you can be gentle with yourself. Remember the way the ocean in your mind accepted every bubble and every stone and still returned to calm. You can do the same. You can come back again and again to softer hands, a slower breath, a wider inner sky. Right now, though, you are still here. Not quite at morning, not quite with your feet on the floor. You are at the soft edge where the night begins to loosen its embrace but has not yet let you go. You can stay in this edge as long as your body needs. You do not have to hurry the process of waking. If you are still drifting in and out of dreams, let them continue. If the words you hear now are broken and faint, that is all right. Let them fade as they need to. The deepest part of this journey is already complete. You have been allowed to rest. You have been reminded that you can unplug your worth from your work, your identity from your titles, your love from possession, your safety from endless planning. You have seen that you can lay things down, at least for a while, and remain whole. As you approach the time when you will open your eyes, you can carry one simple, quiet intention with you, like a small stone in your pocket. It might be, today I will remember even once that I can let go. Or today I will be a little kinder to myself when I cling. Or simply, today I will breathe before I react. You do not need to repeat it out loud. You do not have to write it down. It is already whispering in your chest. For now, there is still room for more sleep, more dreams, more drifting. Morning does not need you yet. Let yourself sink once more into the support beneath you. Feel the bed, the pillow, the blanket, the air. Let your muscles grow softer than you thought they could. Let your mind grow quieter than you thought it would. If awareness returns again in the middle of the night, you can come back to the same simple things. The breath, the weight of your body, the memory that you have already been practicing letting go, and that you can do it again without effort. You are not starting from zero. You are returning to something your whole being now recognizes. The soft return to daylight will take care of itself. You do not have to plan it. You do not have to be ready. You will wake when it is time, and whatever you carry back from this night will come with you naturally, folded into your posture, your tone of voice, your way of moving through the hours. Until that moment, you remain here in the gentle hands of the night, allowed again and again to let everything drop, to be nothing but a breathing, resting, living presence, held by the dark, watched over by the quiet, waiting without effort for the first shy touch of light, from this soft edge where night is beginning to lean toward morning, where your body has already been touched by deep rest and your mind has floated through oceans and rivers of letting go. We arrive at the last part of our journey for tonight. Not a sharp ending, not a door slamming shut, more like the final gentle notes of a song that keeps echoing in your chest even after the music stops. You have walked a long inner path. You have met the many ways the heart clings and the many ways it can soften. Now all of that gathers into something simple, something you can carry with you without even trying. The quiet knowing that there is a place in you that can loosen its grip and rest, no matter what your day looked like, no matter what tomorrow may bring. As you lie here, feel once more the weight of your body on the bed. Head, neck, shoulders, arms, chest, belly, hips, legs, feet. One continuous field of warmth and heaviness or lightness or something in between. You do not need to adjust anything. You do not need to perfect your posture. The bed has already accepted you exactly as you are. The blanket has already shaped itself around your body. The air in the room already moves in and out of your lungs without needing permission. You belong here, in this position, in this moment. As this person, you do not have to earn it. You are already here. Think back, not with effort, but with a soft, backward glance, over the landscape we have crossed tonight. The potter learning to love the work more than the praise. The old sailor who let a rope sink and found his father alive in his own hands. The woman who turned a crowded house of relics into a living legacy. The scholar who took off the robe of I know everything and discovered the joy of not knowing. The soldier who saw that his courage was the grain of his being, not just the armor he wore. The mother who blessed her son's leaving and found other rooms in her own life waiting for light. the friend who loosened his hold on "you are mine" and allowed love to change shape instead of breaking. The man at the crossroads who set down the sword of always being right, the artist who let tradition be a river, not a prison, the planner who named planning mind and lay back down, the woman who met her fear like a frightened child and stayed beside it, the teacher who held up an empty bowl and called it room, and you, moving slowly from story to story, from forest to river to lake to ocean to the quiet station between days, loosening in your own way. You have been the listener, but you have also been every character. Every knot you saw was a knot you know. Every loosening you felt was a loosening you are capable of. You will not remember all of this when you wake. You do not have to. A story once heard in this soft, drowsy state does not vanish. It slips into the deeper layers where the roots of your habits live. It waits there, not demanding anything until a moment comes in your day when you need it. You may find your hand hovering over your phone waiting for a message and feel a small memory of open hands on a river raft. You may stand in front of a shelf of old things and feel a sudden, unexpected thought. These are here to serve life, not to trap it. You may look at someone you love, about to hold them too tightly with fear and feel your grip ease half a breath sooner. You may catch yourself about to defend an opinion and notice with a faint smile how heavy the crown of being right feels on your head and decide not to wear it all the time. You may wake in the night tomorrow or next week, worries already rising, and remember that you once lay here and chose to call it planning mind and return gently to the bed, the breath, the dark. These are small shifts, but small shifts, repeated, become a path. That path does not have to be walked perfectly. There will be days when you forget everything, days when you cling as hard as ever, days when anger, fear, jealousy, or exhaustion grab you by the collar and drag you around. On those days you might think, I have learned nothing. I am back where I started, but even then something is different. You know now that there is another way to be. You have felt it in your own body. You have been a bowl with room. You have been a fist half opened. You have been a mind that did not chase every thought, a heart that did not cling to every story. That knowing does not disappear. It waits patiently for your next breath of awareness, your next moment of remembering, your next choice to loosen rather than tighten. Non-attachment is not a cold rejection of life. It is a warmer, gentler way of being in the middle of it. You still care. You still work. You still love. You still hope. You still grieve. But you allow things to change. You allow people to move. You allow yourself to fail and begin again. You allow praise to pass through you without becoming your oxygen. You allow possessions to serve you without becoming your jailers. You allow roles to be worn and taken off like robes. You allow love to breathe. You allow beliefs to soften at the edges. You allow the future to unfold without you trying to script every line. And perhaps most important, you allow yourself to rest even while your life is still unfinished. Tonight has been a practice in that allowing, each breath a tiny bow to the truth that you cannot control everything. Each letting go, even for a heartbeat, a small act of trust in something larger than your worry. You may call it life or nature or the way of things. You may not call it anything at all. It does not mind. It has been carrying you since before you knew how to name it. It will carry you long after this night, through mornings and evenings, through laughter and disappointment, through seasons of clinging and seasons of release. As you sink deeper now, if you are still barely with these words, let them become very simple. You have done enough. You have heard enough. You have tried enough. For this one night you are allowed to stop gripping, to stop guarding, to stop earning your right to breathe. The night knows what to do with a tired human being. It wraps you in darkness. It slows your breath, it softens your muscles, it loosens your thoughts. It draws you down gently into the wordless place where no one asks you to be anything but a body at rest and a small light still glowing quietly in the chest. You can come back here, not to these exact sentences, though you may listen again if you wish, but to this feeling, this sense of being held by something bigger than your worries. Any night, on a hard day, in a future you cannot see, you can lie down, feel the bed beneath you, notice your breath, and remember, I have been here before. I know how to loosen my hands, even a little. I know how to let thoughts pass like clouds, how to let my heart ache without turning it into chains, how to trust that rest is not a luxury but a home I am allowed to return to. For now, there is nothing left to do, and nothing left to listen for. Let these last words fade like the final glow of a lantern as it is gently covered. Let silence rise around you. Let dreams, or deep dreamless sleep, come and go as they wish. Let the night finish its work. When morning comes, it will find you, and whatever this journey has planted in you will rise with you, quiet but real, in lighter hands, a softer heart, and a life that little by little learns to move through the world without clinging quite so tightly to every passing thing. From this night that you can return to again and again, where your body has been allowed to rest and your heart has been gently shown another way to hold life, we turn now, very softly, toward the doorway of tomorrow. Not to walk through it yet, not to pick up the weight of the day, just to stand near it in your imagination and see how you might carry a bit of this quiet with you when the morning finally arrives. You are still lying down. You are still wrapped in darkness. The bed is still holding your weight. Your breath is still moving in its slow and natural rhythm. You do not need to change any of that. The practice now is not to wake up quickly, but to let the idea of waking become gentle. For most of your life, mornings may have felt like a kind of impact. An alarm, a rush, a list that lands on your chest the moment your eyes open. Sometimes, even before you wake fully, your mind is already reaching for your phone, your calendar, your problems. It is as if your worries have been waiting all night just outside the door, and the second you stir, they all run in. Tonight has been a rehearsal for a different way of living, and tomorrow can be a small, kind experiment. Instead of letting the day crash into you, you can let it arrive more slowly. You can greet it with hands that have practiced opening. Imagine for a moment the first seconds of your waking tomorrow. Your eyes may open to the same ceiling, the same light, the same sounds, before your thoughts have a chance to flood in. There will be a tiny gap, a brief moment when you are simply here, between sleep and story. You have touched that gap many times tonight. It is the same kind of space that opened between your thoughts as you floated on the river, the same kind of quiet you felt as you drifted through the dark ocean of rest. In the morning, you can recognize it. You can let it last one breath longer. Instead of leaping out of bed in your mind, even if your body must rise quickly, you can offer yourself a single conscious inhale and exhale. Inhale, I am here. Exhale, I do not have to hold everything at once. You do not have to say those words out loud. The body will understand the pause. During the day, non-attachment will not look dramatic. It will be small and almost invisible, like a fine thread woven through thicker fabric. You might feel yourself about to check whether someone has praised or approved of you. And even if you still check, there will be a little awareness around the movement. A small voice within might say, this is that old habit again, chasing proof that I matter. You do not have to scold yourself. The noticing alone loosens the knot. You may still care about praise, but it will have a bit less power over your breathing. When you pick up an object that holds deep memory, a gift from someone who is gone, a souvenir from another time in your life, you might hold it for a second and remember Keen and his rope, May and her workshop. You might trace the edges and acknowledge, yes, this means something to me. Yes, I love what it represents, and still the love and the meaning live in me, not only in this object. You do not have to throw it away. You also do not have to cling to it in panic. Even that understanding will soften your grip. You may notice yourself slipping into an old role. The strong one, the fixer, the smart one who always has the answer, the one who never cries. When this happens, you can think of Aiko with her robe of I know and Haruto with his uniform. You do not need to abandon your strengths. You can still be steady, still be wise, still be helpful. But you might allow yourself one moment in the day when you do not perform that role. One honest I don't know, one I need a rest. One that hurt me. It does not have to be large. Even a small truth is like opening one more button on a too tight coat. You may feel the tug of attachment to the people you love. A child who is far away. A partner spending time with others. A friend who is changing. On another day you might clamp down and demand reassurance. Now after walking with Nara and Jiro in your heart, you might pause. You might still ask for closeness but with a softer hand. You might say, I miss you instead of, you are leaving me. You might feel in the background that love does not have to be proven by constant nearness. It can stretch across distance and change shape without breaking. There will be moments when your opinions flare up. A conversation at work, a disagreement with family, a headline that stirs anger. The mind will want to pick up the sword of being right and swing it. You may still speak your truth. You may still hold your values. But after walking with Daigo and Yori, there will be a memory in your body of how heavy that sword becomes. You might ask yourself just once, is being right here more important than being kind or curious? You might listen half a second longer. You might soften your tone. You might allow the thought, maybe I do not see everything. That is non-attachment too. You will feel the old pull to control outcomes. Emails to send, bills to pay, health to manage, future plans to secure. Worry will try to persuade you that if you think about something long enough, you can guarantee the result. After sitting with Toma and Leon and their restless minds, you will be able to notice this more quickly. You might set a time in the day to plan. Write down what you can actually do, and then when that time is over, let the rest go for the moment. You might catch yourself spiraling and say gently, this is planning mind. I have done enough for now. Then you might return, even in daylight, to the feeling of your feet on the ground or the air moving at the tip of your nose. You will still be human. You will still forget. Sometimes you will notice you're clinging only in hindsight. You will lie down at night and realize, today I held too tightly. I chased approval. I gripped someone I love. I fought to be right. I worried until my stomach hurt. When that happens, remember Satsu's empty bowl. You can look at your day and see it not as a failure, but as a full bowl that has shown you what you have been feeding it with. Then, as you exhale, you can decide to empty it a little, to pour out some of the stale thoughts and fears, and to give yourself another chance tomorrow. This is why tonight matters. Not because it makes you perfect, but because it gives you a place to return to when the day has made you heavy again. Any evening on any future day, you can come back to this way of resting. You can choose not to dive into screens or noise right before sleep. You can lie down, feel your body, follow your breath, and remember the stories that once walked you gently into the dark. You do not have to recall their details. You only have to remember the feeling of loosening, the feeling of being carried instead of carrying everything. That feeling is your true teacher, as this part of our journey nears its own quiet ending. You are not being asked to wake up fully. You are being asked to trust that when you do wake, you will bring some of this softness with you, whether you notice it or not. The night has already woven new threads into you. They will show themselves in their own time, in small, kind gestures to yourself and others. For now, you can turn back inward, away from tomorrow, away from doors and paths and windows, back to the simple truth of this moment. A body on a bed, a breath moving in and out, a heart that is tired and still beating. You are being held by the night a little longer. You are allowed to slip back into deeper sleep or to stay in this drifting place where dreams touch you lightly and pass. In the final part of our journey, if you are still awake enough to hear it, we will say a soft farewell to this night, not as an ending, but as a gentle bow to the path you have begun inside yourself. For now, let your hands remember how it felt to open. Let your mind remember how it felt to rest. Let your heart remember that it does not have to cling to be real. And let sleep once again rise up to meet you, quiet and steady as you sink further into the healing dark. From this night that you can return to whenever your heart feels heavy, we arrive at a quiet closing. Not a hard stop, not a sudden cut to silence, more like the way a candle slowly softens, its flame growing smaller, its light settling into a steady glow before it finally goes out on its own. You are still lying here. The bed is still holding you. Your breath is still moving in and out with that slow, natural rhythm your body has known since you took your very first breath. Nothing special is required from you now. In truth, nothing special was ever required. You arrived tired, perhaps tangled in your own thoughts, perhaps aching in ways you could not fully name. You have walked, floated, and drifted through stories about letting go. You have seen many faces of attachment and many faces of freedom. And now, at the very end of this journey, all of that gathers into something very simple. You are allowed to rest. If you are still awake enough to hear these words, let them come to you the way waves arrive on a quiet shore, gentle and unhurried. You do not need to remember everything we have explored. You do not need to replay the teachings or hold tightly to the images, the potter's bowl, the sailor's rope, the crowded house of relics, the scholar's robe, the folded uniform, the mother at the gate, the friend by the river, the man at the crossroads, the calligrapher's brush, the planner's restless mind, the trembling heart at the bedroom door, the empty bowl in Satsu's hands, the forest clearing, the slow river, the dark lake, the warm ocean of rest, the little station between days. All of these have already settled deeper than your thinking mind. They will work quietly without needing your attention. You do not have to hold on to them. They are holding you in ways you do not have to see. Non-attachment can sound in the bright light of daytime like a big, distant idea. But tonight, here in the dark, it has become something you can feel in your own body. It is the way your shoulders have dropped again and again each time you were invited to put the day down. It is the way your jaw has loosened, the way your hands are no longer gripping for a screen or a task or a solution. It is the way your thoughts have slowly lost their sharpness, becoming softer around the edges, less able to hook you and pull you into long arguments with yourself. It is the way your heart has been allowed to ache, to miss, to fear, to hope, without being forced to turn those feelings into chains. All of this softening, is non-attachment made simple. It is not cold. It is not distant. It is kind. It is the way you would hold a bird you love gently so it can breathe. As you lie here, you do not have to decide what this night will mean for your life. You do not have to turn it into a promise or a project. You do not have to say, "From now on, I will never cling again." You will cling. We all do. The mind was built to reach out, to grab, to hold. That is how it tries to protect you. But now you know, not as a theory, but as a felt experience, that there is another side to you. A side that can also open. A side that can watch a thought come and go without chasing it. A side that can let someone you love move a little farther away without turning that movement into proof that you are unworthy. A side that can face uncertainty and say, I will do my best, and then I will rest. That quiet capacity is inside you now. It has always been there. Tonight you have simply spent time with it. Imagine for a moment your life as a long path stretching out behind and ahead of you. Along that path there are many days when you walk with clenched fists, tight jaw, rushing breath. There are also days when your hands are open, your shoulders relaxed, your steps slower and more steady. You do not have to turn every day into a perfect, peaceful walk. That is not how life works. What you can do is remember that open-handed days are possible, and you can call on the memory of this night when you need help finding your way back to them. Maybe tomorrow, or someday soon, when you notice yourself gripping hard to a plan, to a person, to a story, you will pause long enough to feel your breath. You might remember how it felt to lie here in the dark and let yourself be carried. You might loosen your hands just a little. Nobody else may see it, but you will feel it. And that single breath will be a continuation of tonight's journey, a small act of freedom in the middle of an ordinary day. This is not the last time you will be tired. It is not the last time your mind will race. It is not the last time your heart will cling. But this night can be the first of many times you respond differently. The first of many times you say, I will not fight myself into sleep. I will not punish myself for being human. I will lie down, breathe, and remember that I am allowed to rest, even while my life is unfinished. You can come back to this story whenever you need, or you can simply recreate its spirit on your own. A dark room, a quiet voice, a gentle journey from clinging to letting go. The details do not matter. What matters is the feeling of being held by something larger than your worry. If you are still listening, let these last moments be as simple as possible. Feel the bed beneath you. Feel the pillow under your head. Feel the soft weight of the blanket over your body. Notice one more inhale, filling you just enough. Notice one more exhale, emptying you just enough. There is nothing else you need to do. No more effort to make. No more problems to solve tonight. The night knows how to take you the rest of the way. It knows how to deepen your sleep. It knows how to carry you through dreams and into the quiet, healing dark where even dreams fall away. It knows how to bring you back to morning with a body that is a little more rested and a heart that has practiced letting go. For now, you can let go of these words too. Let them drift away like leaves on the surface of that slow river. Let silence rise in their place. Let yourself disappear into sleep without trying to watch yourself go. You are safe enough for this moment. You have done enough for this day. You are being held by the bed, by the darkness, by the simple, steady rhythm of your own breath. Trust that. Rest in that. And let this night, and every night you return to it, teach your whole being again and again how to live with softer hands and a quieter heart.